Yeah. It should be going live. I have good evening. How is everybody? Well, nobody, because I don't think anyone's in. Now, apologies very quickly to my friends over in the US. I know this is a late time, but if I don't do this live chat this evening, I'm going to miss out on my video every day in October, and I don't want to. So I'm going to do a little short, perhaps even a little bit longer, just finishing off a coffee. I know I've said I don't do coffees in the afternoon, but something about doing a live chat, having a cup of coffee and a glass of wine. So I'll just wait and see if anyone comes in. And if you want to say hello, just say hello. And if you've got questions, there's nothing particularly for this show this evening. It's just coming online, having a chat, seeing what you're all up to. I'm pretty sure most of the viewers in the US will be sound asleep. So maybe some of the guys in Australia, Europe, hello, how are you? Man, we've had a crazy. Oh, Stevie boy, how are you? And Colin's, sorry, Colin, can't say that. Cheerio? Is that a French surname? I should be a Byron. Man, you should, Byron, what time is it? I thought everybody in the US would be asleep. So this tonight is just an impromptu, just to put something up. I'm listening to a little bit of music, so I'm probably going to get Mark Almond. To hell with YouTube. They can block us. Now, is that too noisy? Probably is. Sean, how are you? From Devon. Ah, Sean. Did you see my Devonshire clotted cream? Maybe that's how you found me. No, there are people in the US that are at 2:33 a.m. Sexy me 320. How are you? Cheers, me dear. Ruru, how are you? I really thought nobody would come in tonight. I thought it was getting a bit late, but we've got to get this video done, and I just want to see how everybody is. So Stevie, yeah, he did sing that with Gene Pitney, didn't he? Do you remember the year, Stevie? Good song, man. Azair, how are you? Do I remember you? I do. How are you? Ruru. Hi. Now I've got myself a little set of snacks around. Michelle's over there. She might come in later and say hello. I've got myself some chips. Got myself some dark corn chips. Made up a little simple dip with some cream cheese and some spices and things. I think it was earlier than that, Stevie. I think it was. I think it might have been like late 70s. Google it for me and tell me. I think it was late 70s. Uzair, you're good. Good to hear. Where are you, Uzair? You not in Malaysia? No. Pardon me if I've got that wrong. Thank you. Tara, how are you? Now, that is that a hello? I'm sorry, I can't read the script there, but hi, how are you? Jonathan, go. Jonathan. Is that Jonathan Go? I know, I think it probably is. Aussie Zach's here. G'day, mate. Well, Aussie Zach, because it's an evening one. Probably it's a good time for you. Normally I do them in the daytime. I just had such a busy day. We have, we filmed a video or made a video at the very least every single day this month. Oh, it's exhausting. Making you hungry. I've got this lovely soft cheese here. It's a double cream getting quite runny. It's a brie. I tend to usually like a camembert, but this brie is quite tasty. It's an Aussie brie as well. It's very rich. Needs to be. Hi Sally, how are you? Good, oh Jonathan. Hi Brody. Cheers, cheers, ching ching. Got to finish this coffee before it goes stone cold. Oh, go on then, Ruru. I'll shout you out. Check out Ruru on his YouTube channel. But Ruru, you're not allowed to come into these live streams and shout out your channels, but anyway, I will do. Check him out. Check him out or her out. I'll check you out later, buddy. Don't worry.
He said he was the security guard at VidCon.
Oh, Isaiah. Are you the guy from VidCon that plays the music? I think you are. Now, I met this guy at VidCon, cool lad. He was working on the security, and we had to go through to the YouTube side because we were invited by YouTube, but we didn't have our passes anyway. He led us through. A really nice guy, and he's got a great musical talent. So yes, I will possibly in the description below. I'll try to link up his channel. I know he's got a small channel at the moment, but he's promised me he's going to carry on and play music. So nice. Not the security guy. Oh, I'm not shouting you out. You're shouting yourselves out by putting your bits in there. Rana, how are you? Welcome. So we have had Charlie's down here asleep. I don't know if any of you have seen Charlie in any of my videos. He's the Springer Spaniel, Cocker Spaniel, Springer Spaniel, and he'd probably get up in a minute and have a little stretch. The sun's only just gone down. It's beautiful blue. I think actually in my thumbnail the sky behind me was beautiful and blue.
Princess Roxana says, good morning, Steve. How you doing? Love your videos.
Hey, Princess Roxana. Thank you. Good morning. Good evening for us. This light's a bit bright, isn't it? So yeah, we've had... Thank you so much. I will promote you. I'll put something on. You are the guy from VidCon, aren't you? Just say yes if you are. I'm pretty sure you are. The name looks familiar. Ruru, what is my favourite dish or thing to make? My very favourite dish in the whole world is sausage, mash, and tin tomatoes. Simple soul food, but no, there are so many foods. I love spicy food, but my comfort food, I've said it before, I think sausage, mashed potato, and it has to be tin tomatoes. It must be something from my childhood. I like a good lasagna as well. Good, buddy. Nice to see you again.
Sonia from the Shooligans is in.
Hey, Sonia, where?
A bit higher up. Dude, good morning. Made an attempt on the 7 fingers while I made zombie hot dogs.
G'day, Sonia. Sonia's got a lovely channel. She's a family vlogger on YouTube, so you can check her out. I try, if I remember, to put some links into these, but Sonia, you can always stick your link in the thing. Sonia's a lot of fun. We met Sonia when we were in London, and when we were at City, wasn't it? Somewhere in the city. Yeah, lots of fun. Sonia's got a great channel. Check her out. It's morning. Well, what time is it here? Let's have a little look at the clock. It is 20:40, so 8:40 in the evening. And I'm just going to sit here this evening. I've had such a tiring day. Got about 4 hours sleep the other night and woke up. We had a lot to do this morning. We've literally just stopped. My favourite thing to make, Ruru, I'm not sure. I love making sauces. I guess I'm even this little dip. Rather than buy a dip, we just make a dip with. Okay, it's actually a bought cream cheese, but all the spices are in here. There's a little bit of fresh cream in there as well, just to soften the cream cheese. And I've whipped it up, and we've got some smoked paprika, a little bit of seasoning, and that tastes nicer than any dip. There's a little bit of tomato in there as well, and that tastes nicer than any dip you could buy in the shop by a long stroke. If you bought that in the shop, it would have cost you about $5 or $6, $7 maybe, and it would taste processed. So I like making sauces, I like making dips. Sonia, we've had a lot of fun with those Halloween recipes. Got a really gross one going up tomorrow. Your kids are gonna love that one, and the next day I've made some modeling chocolate Shrek ears, which are part of the dish that I'm making, but they're made out of modeling chocolate. So I've got these sort of like cone Shrek ears. I'm not wearing them because they're made of modeling chocolate, and I've done Shrek's nose out of modeling chocolate. It tastes really good because it's just virtually pure chocolate. My favourite pudding, I'll cover that in a minute. Just a second. Is there any other questions in there, Michelle?
And Tara was talking, when you were talking about the cheese, she said brie with walnuts and cranberry wrapped in puff pastry. Yum.
Wow, yeah. So you just roast that slightly. Try camembert with it as well, because camembert's got a little more depth of flavour than brie, but brie is beautiful and sort of soft and creamy. Like this is a double cream. It's not been out of the fridge long enough to be really running yet. Let me cut a little bit of that off. So it's a little bit overexposed, isn't it? But it's nice and sticky. You can almost suck the cheese out of the centre of that. Yum, yum, yum. So with cranberry, what was it, Michelle, and walnuts?
Cranberry and brie with walnuts and cranberry wrapped in puff pastry.
Okay, so is that a brie that comes with walnut and cranberry, or are you putting walnuts and cranberries in there, I wonder? So my favourite pudding to make at the moment is a beautiful Australian pavlova. I'm really liking pavlovas at the moment, you know, with that light meringue. So I've got I'll get Michelle to pop a link in the chat, but I've done a Christmas pavlova with the fruit a year or so back. So if you don't know what a pavlova is, you can check that out, but it's delicious. And the thing is, you can eat loads of it. Well, you can't eat loads of it, but I can eat loads of it because it's so light. Wow, there's a lot more people coming than I thought. Hey, Deepak. Thank you. So what I do is cut the wheel and then put a layer of cranberries in the walnut, and then the second half on top, and wrap it in the pastry, and about 20 minutes in the oven. That's nice. Deepak Sharma, it's fatty. Is that Deepak? You're not talking about me, Deepak, are you? Never trust a skinny chef, mate. You learned that from John on Food Wishes. He's a nice lad. It is red wine, yes. It's actually a good Aussie red wine. It's a Pinot Noir. So, is that music? Can you hear that music? I might as well get into trouble with YouTube. So what we're going to talk about, Michelle?
Madonna.
Donna, little prayer.
Are you talking of music? You were going to talk about Damie.
Oh, I don't know if any of you follow Damie Lou Chevelle on YouTube. I'd love it if you could check her out. Can you put a link to Damie's? But one of her recent songs she's done. She's a friend of ours here in Melbourne, so get across, share a bit of love. Hashtag Team Purple. She's in a New York Tigress. Hi, New York Tigress. Get across and check out my good friend Damie Lou. We love her. She's absolutely, and she has got a voice. Maybe do the combo one with the two lads she did. That was really good. That was a Eminem track. Oh man. Really good. Plans for 2018. Sonia, what are your plans? Well, you probably can't. 2018 is going to be crazy for us. We are going to tour Australia. We're going to be taking the audience with us all the way around the coast of Australia. So we're going to be looking out for koala bears and kangaroos and everything that's typically Australian and things that you might not. I love these quotes. I've been using those. I found these in the back room the other day, both of them. And I've been using them most of this week. They're really kind of cool. You've probably got them yourself. Just have a look. So we're going to tour around Australia. We're going to see koala bears and kangaroos and things that you might not have expected to see here in Australia. Maybe even go up into the snowy mountains and check out the skiing. New York Tigress. Or I think it's NY. I think it's New York Tigress. I'm guessing. That it stands for New York. Says hi Michelle. Now the link Michelle's just put there, that's Damie Lou. Just open it in another window, save it for later. Don't leave me. And hashtag Team Purple, share a bit of love, download her music, and don't tell me that she is not talented. She has got such a talent. She's a tiny little thing, beautiful little girl, and she's packed full of talent, isn't she, Michelle? Yeah, she's great. So is Luna Maroon, actually, and a friend of hers. We've got some really great young talent over here. Deepak Sharma, question. Could you please tell me the best diet to increase weight? To increase weight? Now, Deepak, why do you want to increase weight? If you explain to me why you want to increase weight, I can explain to you the right diet. I am actually a dietitian, so I can help you, but there has to be good reasons to increase weight. You don't particularly want to do that unnecessarily. I mean, if you're fortunate enough to have a very small, petite physique, and stick with it. A bit like myself, really. You know, I'm sure. Can somebody just say, can you hear that music? Am I going to get flagged? Sonia, if you're listening, can you hear the music playing in the background? You need it, that's why. Well, no, I can't. Deepak, I can't help you there. You have to give me a better reason than that. There's got to be good reasons to want to gain weight. Happy to help you if you need to. And you can drop me a message on YouTube, and I can help you out with a diet that'll build weight if you need it, but it has to be for a good reason. Top this up, it's almost empty. Bit of cranberry juice. So you can hear it, good. So just when I don't want to talk, you can have a bit of background music. Chin chin. Anybody else? It's probably a bit early, is it, Sonia? So Sonia, yes, we've got a lot planned. Actually, next year we're going to be over in Western Australia as well. Perth. We're going to be visiting the vineyards over there, and we're going to be visiting some producers of all sorts of different food. We'll be filming quite a bit, so it's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to be going up to Canberra. Not many people outside of Australia know where Canberra is, but it's actually our capital. Not Sydney, Canberra. We're going up to Canberra. We'll be going up to Queensland, which is where I used to live, up in Queensland. Beautiful up there. The weather's summer all year round. Actually, a lot of my buddies up in Queensland, several of my buddies have never had a pair of long trousers. The weather's just perpetual summers. Okay, Deepak, no worries.
And my Tiger said trade the coffee to whatever you're drinking.
Yeah, I'm drinking coffee and that. So it's obviously a good time for different people. Hi, Liddy. Liddy Watts. Everything uploaded here. Hello. Where are you from in the world? Just put your country up. If you haven't already, just tell me where you are so I know I can give a shout out to that country. And get myself another piece of cheese. Oh, by the way, if you want to put weight on, eat lots of cheese. Your brother lives up in Cairns, Stevie. All right, we're going to be going up to Cairns. So when I head up that way, tell your brother that I'm coming. It's probably going to be next winter, though. With the tour around Australia is going to take a whole year. It's going to be so much to see. So much to see. It's such a good country. If you haven't been to Australia, get yourselves over here and say hello to Steve. Whoever he is. Vega Ali, do you guys always brine meat before cooking? No, not at all, Vega. We don't brine meat unless you have a reason to. If you're doing like boiled beef or something like that, you would brine it. If you were doing a ham, you would brine it. But there aren't too many examples. I mean, there are so many meats that are, if you're doing a roast joint, for example, you wouldn't brine it. Nice talking to you, Deepak. Are you off? Oh, Lily, you're in France. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. Oh, no. Bonjour. I say bonsoir because here it's at night. Liddy, you're not French though, are you? US, you're on stretch, man. Oh, 5:30, 5:53 in the morning. Man, what are you doing up? I'm not a morning person. Vasa, Livingston, Russia, hello. Howdy. Well, beautiful people in from Russia. Pakistan, beautiful India. Vasa, I haven't been to Russia, and it's one of the places I really, really want to go. Man, so many places we still got to go. I haven't been to Pakistan either, actually. I've been to India a few times. Chris the Butcher's friends, hello from the shithole that is Manchester, England. Chris, don't be wicked, man. Nothing wrong with Manchester. I would say miserable buggers, but I didn't. You checked me before I said. Chris the Butcher and friends from Manchester. Are you a butcher, Chris? Miserable Manchester. No, I'm not even going to say what you wrote again. Okay, so you live in France. Oh, what part of France? I used to live in the Vendée. Pays de Vendée or near La Rochelle in France. Is Matt, how are you? Thank you. I'm sorry, this is just a bit of a ramble this evening. Not got any plans to talk about anything particular. I just want to make sure that I get up my video for every day in October. As Michelle and I have been so busy this month. When we decided to put up a video every day in October, we had nothing ready. So we've actually had to produce everything. It is like that in YouTube, believe it or not. Oh, where are you off to, Zach? US is beautiful. There is so much in the US, so much to see. I want to go back to so many places that I've visited, and so many places I haven't been. Thank you, Waka. I would love to come to Pakistan.
Sonia says that she loves seeing countries, the proper nitty-gritty of places into the heart of the country through the local eyes with a proper passion.
Good, Sonia.
When you were talking about going around Australia.
Oh, that's exactly what we hope to do, Sonia. And you know, I've been a little bit remiss. I'm not the best of vloggers. It doesn't come to me as naturally. I think, Sonia, you're much better than I am at doing that. And when I look back at what we've done, it looks really good. I mean, some of it looks quite good, but I'm not good at doing it. You know, it's sometimes I just have to really push myself to vlog. So this month, basically, we decided I'm going to take those off. Michelle can read the questions. I can see without my glasses on, but not so clear. Actually, no, I'll leave them on. Where'd you go? So doing this, Sonia, doing that video every day. Wow, that is tiring. Sina Pasha says, "How are you, Tara?"
She said hello and nobody was answering.
Oh, where?
Hello, I said hello. Does anyone talk to me?
Where?
A little bit higher, near the top of the comments there.
Tara from London in the UK. Oh, Tara, did I miss you?
Not Tara, Sina.
Hmm?
Sina Pasha said hello.
Ah, Sina, now I found you. I found you. Hello, how are you? Love from Australia. It's going to be all about Sina Pasha from this point onwards. Everyone say hello to Sina. I'm so sorry. The comments sort of flash up, and if you don't look, you miss them. Lily Watts, yeah, I do use cup measurements sometimes, and you're right. I mean, when you're coming up, oh man, get me started on this. The amount of people that will tell you that their grandma used cups for years and years and her recipe was perfect, that's all very well, but if your grandma's cup was this cup and she always made the same cake with this cup, and then she tells you I used 2.5 cups, and you say, all right, so you sneak in the middle of the night and you steal this cup from her, and you get back and you start cramming your flour into it, and you get this brick out, this cake that looks like a brick, and you don't understand why. It's because your grandma used to put the flour in with a spoon, and it was nice and loose in the cup. And there are many people that will tell you, I've used cups for decades and it works fine, but you can't pass a recipe on to somebody with cups. You just can't. Because cups not only vary from size to size, from people to people. Some people use actual cups, some people use measurement cups, which can be different, but also it's how you pack it in. So they can vary up to sort of 30%, I think we calculated at one time, which makes a massive difference in a cake. So I will use cups if it's liquids, but even then I'm sometimes a little wary. So yes, cups. Lots of people say to me they've used cups all their life, no problem, or their grandmother always used cups, no problem. Sure, once you get used to cooking a recipe, you can use the same system over and over again. But when you want to share that recipe with somebody, you have to tell them the accurate measurements. Otherwise, particularly with baked goods, it's just going to go to pot. Dip, corn chip.
Sonia's keeping you busy with questions. She says, have you got butchers in Oz, or is that trade disappearing? For my last 3 generations, we buy our meat from our local butcher and his family's 3 generations. All our meat is from a 10-mile radius.
Oh, Sonia, I wish. Well, when we travel around Australia, I will show you when we travel, there are some real old traditional butchers around, and they are phenomenal, just like the butchers from Europe, but particularly like the butchers from the UK. Butchers that make their own sausages, they cure their own bacon, and they try to source from local suppliers, but they are fast disappearing. Supermarkets are killing everything. You know, we're all having to buy this mass processed meats full of water. So no, that we do have butchers here. If you're in the city, you're lucky to find them. Most people are forced now, and they don't really care, to buy the rubbish that we have to buy in the supermarkets. But you are very lucky. When I used to live in the UK, I had a butcher near me, a many generation butcher, Nigel Hercombe. Nigel was just a wonderful butcher, and when I went back a few years ago, they're gone, and that made me very sad, because good butchers, if you have a butcher in your town or village, support it. I'm telling you, don't buy from the supermarkets, go to your butcher. And I know it will cost you a little bit more, but it doesn't cost you much more, trust me. And the meat quality is better, and the amount of water that's in the meat is generally better. Now, if you go to your butcher's and his meat is full of water and nonsense like that, that is not a good butcher's. Don't support them. But I'm desperate somehow to do what you're doing, Sonia, which is to support a local butcher's. We don't have many here. There's actually one in Mornington that professes, oh look, I found those again, got the other one over here, professes to be a local butcher, but they're not that great. And I think if you're going to be if you want to keep that old traditions going, you've got to also produce good quality stuff. You've got to, you know, it's not a lot of work, to be honest. I mean, I know my buddy Nigel used to work hard, but to produce your own sausages, and I mean produce your own sausages from good quality pork and good quality beef and lamb, not from crap that you buy at the supermarket. Sonia, I could speak for hours. I'm virtually a butcher myself. I've done so much butchering over the years. So pardon me to anyone that's somebody said to me on my channel the other day, didn't they? Say, "Are you vegan?" I said, "God, no, I'm not vegan." I've got no disrespect for people that are vegan or vegetarian, but there's no way you could call me vegan.
Jelly Duck's in.
Hey, Jelly Duck. Jelly Duck, was it the first time I ever met you? Was on You Now? I think it was. Or did we know each other from before then? I got a feeling the first time, Jelly Duck, you and I interacted, I was in Palm Springs in the USA with my good buddy James, and that's where I met you. And I keep seeing you there, and I'll always remember you because you were such a good gentleman.
Hina has named which cooking chocolate do you use?
We've travelled for 2.5 years now. 2.5 years of travelling, so I really I bought only, it's Jive Bunny. So 2.5 years, so I've pretty much gone for whatever cooking chocolate I can get my hands on, and some are disappointing and some are not. And when I made modelling chocolate the other day, I was explaining to people, when you make modelling chocolate, you don't want good quality. You want good quality, but you don't want chocolate that has a high cocoa butter content because it doesn't make particularly good modelling chocolate. What is the one we used to use here in Australia, the brick one? It's not actually Australian, is it?
No.
I do like, and now hang on, where are you? Where's the comment? Was it cooking chocolate?
Yeah. No, Jenny, Gina.
That Willy Wonka's, Willy's cooking chocolate's really good. The cocoa content in that is very good. If you haven't seen Willy's chocolate, check him out. He's a British guy, and he's very passionate about chocolate making. So he makes like a cylindrical blocks of chocolate at the bottom of this wine. So they're probably about that big in diameter, maybe a little bit smaller. And it's really high quality cooking chocolate, and you don't have to use that much. And the beauty of really good cooking chocolate is it goes into great things. You can put it into a beef stroganoff, you can put it into your chili, you can put it into curry dishes, because it basically is a, you know, cooking chocolate doesn't have to be sweet. You can go into savoury dishes and it works really well. Actually, I don't use it enough in my YouTube videos. When did everything uploaded here? When you started cooking? I started cooking when I was a child, really. We were very lucky. I don't know if Sonia's still here, but Sonia, they used to have cooking classes. Do you still have those in Ireland? Cooking classes at school. And like the good little... I was going to bring those out again. I'm going to have to pop those away. I love the cooking classes. I loved anything artistic, any of the things. I used to go to the pottery classes, the art classes, the cooking classes. And every time I did any sort of test, they always used to say, you've got to go and do academic stuff, because I'm super intelligent, apparently. And but I just wanted to do art stuff. So I've been cooking since I was pretty small. I'll tell you some stories about that one day. So it's fantastic if schools are still... now, am I, because I'm looking down at the reading here, am I always looking down at and not at the camera? Yeah?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Is Matt's Sarah, you turned it up now. So we saw the video about the Thailand to KL train. It's very good and informative, thanks.
Oh, thank you. That was a video we almost didn't do. As I've travelled, sometimes I film stuff and I just don't get round to editing them, and I'm so glad I did, because even looking back, it reminded me I just wanted to get back on a train and start sort of like, you know, I love trains. So thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. So I started cooking when I'll tell you, the first time I can remember cooking, I was probably around about 7. And the first time I can remember doing something disastrous in cooking, I was probably about 11. So...
RG Caffel says hi.
Oh, so Aussie, you're doing the LA to San Diego, Route 66, Grand Canyon, Vegas, San Francisco. San Diego is beautiful, Zach. We drove down that coast to San Diego, didn't we? It's nice. Expensive, man. You're going to have to be careful, mind you. You're from Australia, so we know what expensive is. Can get a bit expensive. Pre-book everything in San Diego. But lovely, lovely city. Is Route 66 go down that way? I don't think Route 66 goes from LA down to San Diego, but you're probably going to do a little bit of it. I think actually the first time I went to the USA, Route 66 didn't exist anymore, and I think they're reinstating sections of it. So it's cool. So you're going to all the cool places. San Francisco is beautiful. New York's beautiful. Actually, north of New York, if you get up into New England and things, there's so much in America.
Going to Niagara Falls, so we'll be going up.
Oh, right. So you must be there for quite a while.
Say hi to Arjeet Caffel.
You have to say it again, hun, because I didn't hear.
Arjeet Caffel said hi.
Arjeet?
Mm-hmm.
I've got to look for the comment.
Just above.
Oh, Arjeet Caffel. Hi, 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 hi. Arjeet, how are you? Where are you from? let us know where you're from, and we'll send. Tara said hi. Thank you, Tara. That's sweet of you. I'm sorry if I miss. If you do say hi, you can always do what Ajit said and say hi 4 times, and I'll still miss it. Of course, Zach, you're from you've retracted a comment from the Shooligans. Zach, I didn't realise you were actually from Melbourne. I know you were at VidCon, weren't you? But I didn't know you were from Melbourne. Cool. What about this weather we've been having, Zach? Hasn't it been gorgeous? I know it's got cold again, but the weather is just starting to get into spring. I love this time of year. Have I tried Terry's chocolate? Now I'm taking comments from the bottom here, so Michelle will tell me if I've missed anything. Can you just check? Terry's chocolate orange wedges, yes. I would say I love them, but I don't actually. Michelle does. She loves chocolate orange wedges. To me, it's just a great big bowling ball of chocolate that tastes a little bit like orange.
Nice.
You know, if each of those segments were full of salted caramel or had sort of the crystallized caramel pieces in them, or a little bit of chili in them, or something that didn't make them just a big wedge of chocolate with an orange flavor in them, I would say they were lovely. And actually, if you're given a chocolate orange, which I frequently am, nothing wrong with that. Tara, do you like chocolate orange wedges? Michelle doesn't like the wedges. She only likes the whole thing. Give her a wedge and she's like, well, where's the chocolate orange? So if you like chocolate orange wedges, then you're very polite. If you like a whole chocolate orange. Now, you see, when I was young, the matchmakers, the Shooligans, I'll get to in a moment, matchmakers. Do you remember those chocolate matchmakers? They're probably still available. And they used to come in coffee flavour, mint and orange. Wouldn't give you tuppence halfpenny for the orange ones.
Or the mint.
Or the mint ones. Mint were all right, actually, even though mint chocolate generally is an acquired taste. But the coffee ones I loved, even as a kid. Terrible, really. I like all those sort of rich caramel flavors, all those sort of like, I'm not a massive dark chocolate fan. I'll tell you what used to be my favorite chocolate though when I was a kid was Old Jamaican Rum. So Old Jamaican Rum was a bar, I think Cadbury's used to do it, or Terry's might have used to do it. Bar of chocolate that used to have rum and raisin in, and it was quite a dark chocolate, but man, it was good.
Tara says sometimes they add the popping rocks that explode.
You didn't miss my greetings at all, lol.
So Tara keeps saying hello to everybody who says hello, and then you keep thinking that she's saying hello to you.
No, I know she's saying hello to other. No, Tara, I know that. I know you're doing the honours of saying hello to people for me. Thank you very much. Now, there was something that the Shooligans was saying. So, Ballymallow School. There were some of the most respected successful chefs graduate from there. So I could 10 years to school. No, I wonder if they do cooking at school now, Sonia. Well, you'll know. You've got the little ones that are still at school, so maybe you'll know. But they don't do it as much. They don't do anything at school. Well, no, that's not true. Because actually, we were at the Mornington Fair, and the kids there were fantastic. I did a vlog about a week ago in Mornington, and I met a young lad called Liam there who went to. I forget the name of the school. Elizabeth Monash. Yeah. No, anyway, pardon me. But he went to a school here just near us in Mornington, and they've got a whole farm of animals, and they do agricultural and horticultural there. Really good school. Many times, Waka. I've had many times Pakistani food. Now, I'm not. I'll be honest with you. The line between what is Pakistani and what is Indian, what is Nepalese, what once you get up into North India, I'm not always 100% sure which dishes belong to whom. But I only because I really haven't toured enough around North India. See, I've got a great love for Gujarati food, for Southern Indian food, because I've toured around there and I've lived in that region, and I love those sort of vegetarian foods. And I'm super familiar with Indian foods, but I'm not always sure where their provenance is from. So I love what you've said there, biryani. Now you're saying pilau. Palau. I'm not even sure. I need to Google that. Sounds like rice, but it's not spelled the same way. I lost weight. No, I haven't lost weight much. Since I've been having the smoothies, I've cut back on weight a little bit, but I haven't lost a great deal of weight. Actually, the worst thing I could have done was set off traveling around the world. The more you travel, the more, we always say the more you travel, the broader you're behind. There is an old saying that says the more you travel, you broaden your mind.
Travel expands the mind.
Yeah. And we always say it expands your behind, because actually when you travel, the last thing you do is lose weight. Even if you're backpacking, you tend to eat too much rich food. Well, Aussie Zach, all the places you're talking of going to, I have been to with Michelle, pretty much all of them. I haven't been to Niagara Falls, and I haven't been up to that border with Canada, but the US, I love it, and I've toured many times.
And he's not in Melbourne, he's in Albury.
You're in Albury?
But the fruit and veg comes from Melbourne markets most days.
Okay. Well, Melbourne markets, we've friends in the Melbourne markets. They're great markets. Excuse me with my dip.
So Razvan G says, hi, I'm from Romania in Europe, and it is now 1:15 in the afternoon.
Hi, Razvan. Romania. Razvan.
Okay.
Razvan G from Romania. I haven't been to Romania, Razvan, so I'd love to. I've been across to Croatia, and I've been a little into Bosnia, but haven't got into Romania. And we just, there's so many places we haven't been. There's a lot planned, but this next year is going to be all about Australia. No, I'm not that far away. Albury, I know, I've been there many times on the drive up. We've driven through it and into it and stopped there, I think maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe more. Hey Brad, what's your reason for doing this? I'm intrigued. For doing what? This live show or my YouTube channel? Somebody cut the stem off my wine glass. These are super popular now, these wine glasses, the stemless wine glasses, aren't they? Very fruity. Brad, I'm going to assume that you mean YouTube. I think if YouTube had been around when I was a lot younger, I would have 100% been on YouTube. So you're saying yes, the live show. Because I promised to do a video every day in October, I've decided just to do this live show. Or I tell you what, when you do a live show, heaps and heaps of people unsubscribe because they don't like to see the live shows in their feeds. So that's the reason I'm doing it. I'm looking to knock my subscriber level down. We always figure, I've talked to a lot of YouTubers about this, because you do get a lot of hits on your subscriber levels, but to me it makes sense. If people would unsubscribe because you do a live show, then they're probably not the sort of people that should be subscribing in the first place, and therefore it doesn't matter if they unsubscribe, with respect. No, Sonia, you're asking whether if I wasn't a chef, what would I be? I would be what most boys tend to choose. I would be an engineer, and I actually worked as an engineer for quite some time. So, the usual sort of male-dominated industries that we tend to go into: computers, engineering, and the trade. So, but by choice, I don't know what I would have been by choice, Sonia. That's a difficult question. What would I have been by choice, Michelle? Traveling juggler? Something that would be unusual. I've always tended to err towards not conforming. Noddy Holder, here it is, Merry Christmas, singing in the background. Noddy Holder's the sort of person I would have been. Music as well. In the perfect world, I'd probably be happy to either be a musician, singer, food creator, or postman. No, that's not fair, because I was about to say I'd like, or politician, or lawyer, or teacher. I don't know, so many things. Thank you, New York Tigress. You like chats with your favourite YouTubers. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and get people to call in and say hello on these live chats, so we can mix it up a little bit. I don't know how we do that. Maybe on Skype or something. I'll try and work it out. Maybe we'll do it in the background on one. Maybe one day I can get Sonia to come on and say hello. This year, by the way, Sonia, another thing we're going to be doing is actually doing interviews with other YouTubers, and that's going to be fun. So I'm going to be obviously starting with physical face-to-face YouTubers. So there'll be Aussie YouTubers. So any YouTubers out there listening, and I am going to cap it at the more popular YouTubers, because not always. Sometimes we just do it for fun. It is, after all, meant to be heaps of fun. But in Australia, I want to get people around the table. I'll probably bake them something, cook them something that they like. So if they say to me they like a caramel slice, we'll make them some caramel slices, and we'll have a little a little discussion. So that's going to be fun. We're going to give that a try.
So Sonia said, obviously your career that involved colourful shirts, no doubt.
Colourful shirts is very important to me, Sonia. Even this scruffy old thing with the Combi Caravan on there and the Hawaiian Aloha shirt, I've always rebelled against. I used to run a company, a fairly big company in Hong Kong, and I would be the boss that turned up in a sort of mustard yellow shirt, almost gold. I think probably I've always. So it's strange, Sonia, because actually my father was quite straight lace, so he would have been very much the grey flannels, and I am not at all like my father. I probably take more on the side of my mother's side, and I always want to rebel. And actually, no, I like to put a smile on people's faces if we can.
So Brad Dover is asking, how do you feel about your viral video that got 2.7 million views? That's pretty amazing.
Which one's that?
I don't think it's a viral one. It's the braided Nutella bread.
Oh, is that a viral video?
It took me a long time.
That video was one of those videos I really passionately enjoy doing. We're talking about the Nutella braided bread, I think, there, and literally I don't keep a track of my videos. I used to years ago. I don't keep a track of the views on them. So if you were to tell me now what my top 10 videos are, you'd probably be teaching me something I didn't know. But I know you are talking about, Michelle's just reminded me, the braided Nutella bread. I had got that inspiration from my youth when I grew up in Germany, and German bread, by the way, big shout out to it, is fantastic. The Germans make some of the best bread in the world. They're also very creative with their bread. So a Blumenbrot, a flour bread, is a traditional style of bread in Germany. So when I'd seen this bread made with Nutella, nobody had made it at all. And I thought, and I'd seen people saying, how do you make this bread? It's kind of, they'd seen pictures of it. How do you make this bread? And I thought, well, I can show them how to make it. It's not that difficult. So I made it, and it just took off. And I had no idea that it would take off. It's just one of those things. Actually, if you check out my walking bread video, which was gingerbread men shaped like the Walking Dead, that video I would have thought would have taken off, and nobody watches it, which is fine. So when you often do a video that you don't expect to do that well, and I really didn't expect the Blumenbrot, the braided bread, to do that well, and it still does well. But how do I feel about it? I don't feel much about it, other than I'm proud that I'm pretty sure that I was the first to do that, and many channels have copied it since. Yeah, move on. It's something we've done. We'll move on and do other exciting things. We're looking for the next. I'm not really even looking for the next thing. I'm just enjoying what we're doing. Gary, hi, Derbyshire. Gary, you're saying how much decoration and presentation for food would you say is too much? Gary, sometimes decoration is, oh, sorry, I'm kicking the table. Sometimes food decoration, I think I might stay on a little while tonight. It's quite fun. Gary, sometimes decoration is pompous and ridiculous. And sometimes it's just a little bit of fun. I do like Heston Blumenthal, actually. When I first saw Heston on TV, I thought, oh, there's a guy after my own heart. He's kind of like interested in the science of food. And that is me. I tend to be always fascinated on how a dish is made and how the chemicals react within the dish. So that might not come across in all my YouTube videos because we are trying to produce a lot of videos, but in the ideal world, all of mine would be like Bill Nye the Science Guy cooking channel, which I suppose Heston is a little bit like. So sorry, going back to your thing, are nasturtiums on a salad too much? No, I don't think so, because nasturtiums add a splash of colour, flowers add a splash of colour to a salad, and they can make it look pretty. Are nasturtiums on a pork chop too much? Yes. It's pompous nonsense. If the pork chop is cooked beautifully and well, and if you go and put a little good pork chop needs nothing at all, because it's come from good source. If you think you need to put a micro salad on there and top it off with a nasturtium, then you're an absolute moron, and you deserve exactly what you're getting, which is probably a lot of money in your pompous little restaurant. There is a point at where we all know that they're trying too hard. But there are some times when food decor, food should please your eyes as well. You know, it should please your eyes to look at it. There's no point. I've got some dips. I can't really show you. Actually, I can. So I've got some little dips here. Now, there's no reason why I put them on a wooden board with a pretty little scan pan knife. There's no reason at all. You guys aren't seeing that. You guys have no reason to see that at all. I put my chips in a nice little bowl. I could have just put them on the table or left them in a crisp packet. It's not particularly pretty, but it looks okay, and it makes me feel happy. So if it makes you feel happy, Gary, no amount of ridiculous presentation is too much. If it looks pompous and stupid, then it probably is, I guess. Does that answer your question? Sharon, yo, hi. Is Yo-Yo in? Tammy Yo-Yo Max was in the other day, and she's a sweetheart. I don't think she'll be in today. I think it's way too late for Tammy, but it looks like you're saying hi to Yo-Yo Max, but you're not. Sup? All right. Sup yourself. Hi Sharon, how are you? Stephanie Styles, what are your favourite YouTubers? At this moment in time, it is Damie Lou Chevelle. She is an absolute star for me. Check her out. Hashtag Team Purple. She's currently in Shared Space. The Shared Space. It's a YouTube channel. I don't care for that nonsense. I don't care for those Big Brother things. I don't watch television at all. But because Damie's in there, 100% respect. Michelle will leave a little link. You can get across and check out Damie. She's a friend of ours. Great singer. So she's my favorite YouTuber at the moment. I've got a lot. Most of my favorite YouTubers are friends of mine. Good old Dave Sorlin, Dave Lawson up in Michigan. Oh no, if I start naming people, I'll get into trouble. Sonia from the Shooligans. My favorite YouTuber. Actually, Sonia's family YouTubing channel is great. Check her out. And Michelle, can you actually, did Sonia leave a link to her channel?
I don't think so.
Michelle will check out Sonia's, and we'll chuck it in the links down here. So if you're watching it later on, get across and say hi to Sonia. Where's this coming from? I can't put this down at the moment.
No,
I'm going to go back in the back room and get rid of these. Air quotes, they're called, aren't they? This is when food is too much, Gary. Too much, when it's got air quotes. It's got those obvious air quotes on them. You're welcome, Gary. Thank you.
Just quickly, Aussie Zach says if you get a chance when seeing Australia, you should go and see a town called Beechworth. Victoria, great bakery and honey. And Stevie Boy says his sister lives in Beechworth.
Oh man, where's Beechworth? I'm not sure. Have we been to Beechworth? It doesn't ring a bell.
But the honey, we know Beechworth honey.
Yeah. What's that honey we've got?
I don't think so.
I'll just check Aussie Zach. The honey, I'd love to. We will check it out, buddy. Thank you very much. Johan, what do I think of the Netherlands? I love the Netherlands. I love the Netherlands. I wish I could say something in Dutch. My Flemish is just not that great. The Netherlands, we were there with I used to go there to Enschede market when I was a kid, and I just love the Dutch. I love Holland. Was it Riest that we were in Holland with our kids some time back?
The little trucks.
Yeah, man. Holland, it's just wonderful. Johan, are you from Holland? The Netherlands. I got a good buddy of mine who speaks Dutch. Actually, I've got family and friends here in Australia that are Dutch. What can you say? I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful country. The people are wonderful, and I think they're part and parcel of some of the best things about Europe. Is that too gushing? Check out Damie Lou, Team Purple, hashtag she's busy at the moment. She's doing amazing stuff. She did this video a little while ago, and Aussie Zach, check out Damie if you don't know her already. She's my number one. I don't care whether Damie wins this show. As I say, I don't really enjoy Big Brother, but I think it means a lot to her because I think she'll get a contract with Sony for doing some records. So in that respect, it means a lot to me. The fact that actually Damie is on one of these shows, I hate these shows, but Damie's there. Check her out. Share the love. She is great. At the very least, check out Damie Lou Chevelle on YouTube. So it's close to Wangaratta. Okay. Stevie Boy. I'll check that out. That's Aussie Zach said birchwood. What was that honey that we've got?
It's R. Stevens.
No.
And it's.
Mm.
So I said hi to Johan. Tracy Lippman says good morning from New York.
Hi Tracy. Good morning. Must be. No, it's probably getting on now. Is it 6, 7 o'clock in New York? So we might see some New Yorkers waking up.
She also said you did a video while on vacation about a beautiful rice dish, finely sliced and diced herbs, and such. We'd love for you to make your version of it.
Nasi ulam. You put it there, haven't you, Tracy? Nasi ulam. I think it's a Nonya dish. I think I'd be right in saying it is Nonya, or it may be just Malaysian. I could be corrected on that. Nasi ulam was to die for delicious. Tracy, I will try and do a version of it. We're going to do a whole Malaysian series. The next series we're going to do, by choice, will be our Mexican series. But we will be doing a Malaysian. And that nasi ulam, Michelle, can you put a link to that? I made that with a lovely chef in Penang. And Nick. And Nick's mother. Lovely, lovely lady, and it is so important to, hats off to Nick's mum for the way she makes her nasi ulam. For those of you who don't know, it's a rice dish. It's a Malaysian rice dish with beautiful fine chiffonade slices of fairly tough, but so many different leafy vegetables in there. But it also has those beautiful ginger flowers. It's a flavour that you. When people say to me, "What's your favourite dish?" that should be there. I mean, every dish that I come across is my favourite dish. Nasi ulam is my favourite dish, but then so many other things. So Michelle's put a link there. Nasi ulam. Nick from Peret Rumah, I think the name of the restaurant in Penang. Beautiful, beautiful food, by the way. Johan, the stream lags. So sorry about that. I tell you what I'll do. Let's turn that music off because it's awful anyway. Love changes everything by that. Not a nice song. Don't know how that got on. Well, it's okay. It's not a nice song. No, it's a horrible song. What guy's gonna like that? Love changes everything by some bloke who looks like he's straining on the toilet. It does look. Yeah, I will do it, Tracy, at some point. I'm getting a little red light there, so sorry, Johan, if it's straining. I've turned the music off, so because that was streaming as well. And just let me know, Johan, if it continues to. How long have we been going? So I'm not in a hurry to leave tonight. I'm quite happy to chat with you all. Got a glass of wine to finish here. Sadly, we've come back to Australia after being away for 2.5 years, nearly 3 now. 2 3/4 years. And the internet hasn't got any better, and it's now hang on, that's frozen altogether, hasn't it? Frozen? Now if did that completely freeze? My picture froze. What is my favorite red wine? Tracy, I don't know. This isn't bad. This is a Pinot Noir. It depends where you are in the world. I do like Cab Savs, Cabernet Sauvignon. Johan, it froze. I think it's unfrozen though. Let me just not much I can do about it. I'm going to carry on for a little while longer anyway, just in case any of my subscribers want to come on and they're from different parts of the world. Maybe they're just getting up. We've got people from all over the place, even got some from the US who are up bright and early. What is your favorite Mexican food? I'm asking you guys. We are doing a Mexican series. We have got some masa flour, beautiful masa flour from El Cielo.
Cello, yeah.
G'day, Marcus. How are you, mate? We found a Mexican supplier here that can supply us with masa. If you're going to do Mexican food, you've got to have masa flour. That is the flour derived from making corn. I mean, ideally, fresh masa would be great if we could get the actual corn kernels. Let me explain to you a little bit about Mexican masa for those of you who don't know. Rather than making a lot of the breads and tortilla chips, you see these tortilla chips here? If you were in Mexico, they wouldn't be these sort of like, well, they would be crispy like this, but they'd be made with masa flour, probably with fresh masa. And what they do is they actually take the corn, so you take the dried corn kernels and you clean them, you boil them up in wood ash or pickling lime, and the husks come off and let all the nutrients release, or they change the chemical structure of the corn, and then they grind them up into a paste, and that is masa. I think it's also similar to hominy, and they use that to make almost everything: quesadillas, corn chips, tortillas. They taste really good.
Quesadillas are Tara's favourite. Tracy Littman loves burritos. Sonia likes anything with cheese.
Anything with cheese. We're going to have some fantastic stuff. I mean, it's going to be a little bit advanced maybe, and simple. It's going to be advanced because we are going to be trying to make it as authentically Mexican. I mean, I've been out for Mexican food here in Australia, and it's nothing like the Mexican food that I had when we were in Mexico last year. And I want to try and get that across to people. So when you have the floured tortillas with the meat in that they do on the street vendors, I want it to taste like that if I can, because I want to recreate that taste. Because if you go to the supermarket and buy those crappy tortillas that they sell in the supermarket and put a little bit of your meat in, it's all right. Okay, they're not bad, but they're not beautiful. And you do really want to try and get that flavor, and it isn't too difficult. It's just whether or not you can find corn masa where you are. And for instance, when I got to Melbourne, I couldn't find corn masa, so I got onto our good friend Google. Thank you, Google. And I found a Mexican supplier of masa here in Melbourne. So almost anywhere in the world you can find good masa. And it isn't the same as corn flour or cornstarch. It isn't the same as any of the flours we tend to use in baking. It's very different, and it makes a huge difference to the taste of the food. Tracy, guacamole. Oh, guacamole. Sorry, I did the pumpkin guacamole. You may not have seen it just yesterday on my channel, and it was basically pumpkin puke guacamole, because I'm doing the 5 most disgusting Halloween recipes, and they are pretty disgusting actually, but they're fun. Marcus, stupid question. Okay, what's the stupid question? You in Australia, Marcus? I've probably lived in Australia more than I've lived anywhere else in the world.
Yep.
So the problem is, Marcus, we don't lose our accents of heritage. I am Australian. I've lived up in Queensland. I'm not going to get an Aussie accent. I'm too long in the tooth to get a strong Aussie accent. But I've lived up in Queensland. I've lived in Victoria. I've lived here a long time. My kids are all Aussies. A lot of my family lives here. But I'm English by heritage, and I'm never going to lose it, nor do I want to lose it. I'm very proud of my English heritage. I'm very proud of the food heritage from England. I actually think some of the food here in Australia is very much influenced by our English food, and that's why it's so good. Some of the best food in the world comes from the UK, and it gets a bad rap. Actually, a lot of chefs now are realizing that it's time that we accepted that there is great food there, and it gets a bad rap. There are no better puddings in the world than English puddings, and consequently there are no better puddings in the world than Australian puddings, because we make them all over here and they are fantastic. Without our love of puddings and desserts, we wouldn't have all this nonsense like pavlova or lamingtons. Zach, NBN,
Yes,
hocus pocus.
We do have NBN and it's rubbish.
We have NBN, it's rubbish. The Australians were sold a lie. The government over here, God rest their souls, they probably died several years ago. The government over here made up this idea that we would have something called national broadband, and they paid some corporations many billions of dollars to do something that was basically already here in Australia. They said they were going to roll out a few extra sort of upgrades, but they sold it as this great idea that we're all going to get national broadband. Technically, the packages were being sold now here in Australia, which are called NBN, are really no better than what you could have had prior to the word NBN ever being invented. And Zach, I'm originally a computer engineer, so I know a little bit about what I'm talking about when I tell you that the NBN thing is a complete and utter farce. And yes, we have NBN. It's a little bit slower than the internet I've had in third world countries where we've traveled. No, it's a lot slower. I mean, even in Hanoi in Vietnam, we were getting 100 megabyte upload, 100 megabyte download. I could upload a video in a 1 gigabyte video in about 3 minutes in Hanoi in Vietnam. The same video here in Australia takes me about 6 hours. And I know when you get into the city there is better NBN, but it costs an arm and a leg. I mean, in Hanoi my internet was costing me about $15.
So Tracy Littman saying Mexican green rice made with cilantro and a few other ingredients. And she also said I have a hard time finding a really good Mexican hot cheese dip. Maybe you'd be able to create a good one.
Oh yeah, the Mexican hot cheese dips. I will try to... Who asked that?
Tracy Littman.
Tracy. We'll be doing a lot of really interesting Mexican. I would have liked to have done it running up to Dia de Muerte, Halloween, but we haven't really had time, so we'll do stuff as we can. But I really want to do the Mexican food some justice, so I'm a little bit... I'm always scared to start the series because I want to do it well. And you know what will happen? It'll get no views at all, but who cares? It's basically I want to do it well.
So Marcus says Australia and England have and always had a good relationship and hope we always will. I have a strong English heritage and I'm proud too.
Yeah, I think everybody in the world should have good, strong, friendly relationships. There shouldn't be anywhere. People, I mean, America has fantastic relationships with everywhere in the world. It's just governments that don't have good relationships. You know, you'll never... I've got American friends that have huge friends in Iraq and Iran and places all over the world. It's just governments that just... So yes, Australia and England have always got on. The English and the Scottish have always actually got on. It's just the governments that moan and grumble. So yeah, don't believe in all these nonsense sort of stereotypes. There's no reason why we shouldn't get on with everybody. I'm terrible because I'm wanting to say something sort of cheeky about the Kiwis. And I shouldn't because I love New Zealand. It's possibly my one of my top favourites. But there is that sort of stereotype between New Zealand and Australia. Australia and New Zealand, they are our sort of what's the word, friendly sort of banter between the Kiwis and the Australians. And because I don't have a strong Australian accent, I can get away with almost anything. But they would be like America and Canada, if that makes any sense, or England and Scotland. Beautiful place. Coromandel Peninsula, possibly one of the most beautiful parts of the world I've ever been in. South Island, haven't explored it yet.
So Tara says one of her favourite cooks is Mary Berry.
Mary Berry, she's a sweetheart. Do you know Mary Berry, right, has become so famous. I think she was famous in the 60s and 70s in a very small way. And she came back with a vengeance with the Great British Bake Off. I think that's where she relaunched her career. And what a lovely lady. I mean, she's not necessarily the most accomplished cook in the world, or even the most, but she's a great home cook. You know, talking about. Now, where is Mary from? She's got mixed heritage. She's sort of half Scottish, half English, or half Irish, half English.
I think Scottish, I think.
Yeah. She's got some fascinating stuff, so much to share. Delia Smith, I struggle with Delia. I'm sorry, Delia, if you're watching. She probably is. Delia watches all my shows. I struggle with Delia Smith. I think she has got desperately trying to do sort of popular dishes by opening cans of beans and putting them on pizzas and things. It's just not the way to go, Delia. Sorry. Anyway, and yet, who hasn't got a Delia Smith cookbook? If you come from England, that is. Many people would. And she's a reasonable sweetheart, but no, Mary Berry over Delia Smith every time. Any other questions there I've missed, Michelle?
No, Marcus Jackson's talking about the NBN. They need to fix this and make it worth it. And Aussie Zach says, wow, crazy, we're just so behind here. It's embarrassing.
It is embarrassing when you come back, Zach. When you go over to the US, you'll see. NBN the word shouldn't even exist in our just better internet, is what everyone else calls it. You know, I used to live at one time way out in the South China Sea on a small island, and I needed a really strong, fast leased line connection for the business I was doing at the time. And I knew one of the guys that worked for the telecom company, and he came in and did a little couple of twists, and we were getting super fast internet over two tinny little twisted pair wires that dangled over to the house we were on. And that's faster than what we're getting now, and that's 20 years ago.
Late 1990s.
Yeah, that's 20 years ago. And most of the NBN, to be honest, Zach, can be delivered over simple twisted pair. It doesn't need all this nonsense fibre optics and things. And it's just a way of trying to get us to pay more for the internet, because there's no competition over here whatsoever. Don't get me started. Don't get me started on NBN. It's too expensive. We need to be paying no more than $20 a month for super fast internet like the rest of the world. I know a lot of the Americans now are getting fleeced for internet as well, as soon as they realise that everybody needs it just to get through their days. Just Odd, hey, how are you? Where are you from? You just caught me. My cheese is starting to get...
So Tracy was also saying your Mexican series will get views. Definitely watch it. She's just not a Halloween person. That's why she doesn't watch the Halloween videos.
Look, who said that?
Tracy Lippman.
Tracy, no, I know where... I some years ago I did a Halloween series, and I realised a lot of people were turned off by it. But I've got a bit of a passion for Halloween. And it's nothing to do with the fact that I think it gets a bad rap because people tend to think it is too commercial, for one thing, or it's anti this sort of thought. Maybe when I lived in France, when I lived in France, my French neighbours got really upset with Halloween. My kids wanted to go out trick-or-treating, and we come from a history of having fun at Halloween. And the French were particularly anti-Halloween because they perceived it to be an American import, which they didn't want. Now, we know that in France quite often they can be a little bit anti-Anglo sort of imports of any sort. And on the evening of Halloween, all my French neighbours were going down to the church to celebrate All Saints' Eve or Hallows' Eve. And I was telling them how the history of Halloween the literal history of Halloween comes from the European churches, where they have Hallows' Eve and All Saints' Day. And it was always a time traditionally to get together with your family and just enjoy yourself and remember. Particularly, it was a time to remember those that have passed. In Mexican culture, it's Dia de Muerte. In Chinese culture, it's Qingming. I guess, pardon me if I get it wrong, but it is a time when people should remember the past, and they used to cook meals from the departed, meals that they liked. So if your grandfather had passed away and he particularly liked a certain dish, they would cook it and they would sit around and they would celebrate. In Mexico, they even go into the graveyards and they have the meals there. And it's a joyous time, and it's a family time. And I think the problem is it gets a bad rap, and I wish it could stop being this sort of Father Christmas type thing that it's become, and be much more in key with what it's supposed to be, which is almost like a Thanksgiving come harvest festival come time of year when all the crops have come in and everybody gets together and celebrates and remembers those that they love that are departed. So that's my bit on Halloween.
So Sonia says, yeah, let's not mention the rugby then, but apart from that, I think the majority of people see the good in everyone.
They do, Sonia. You know, the world is... Sonia, you know what it's like. If you turn on that horrible contraption called the TV and listen to those morons on the news telling you how everybody hates everybody, you can start to believe it. But you know, when you travel and you meet people, that everybody loves to talk about each other's countries and they get on really well. There is none of that nonsense outside of the idiot box, which is I believe what the guy that invented mainstream TV, when he died, he said it was an idiot box and turned everybody into these sort of like force-fed. I'm losing my train because Charlie, what are you up to? Charlie is our little Springer Spaniel. And can you hear him like tip-topping around? So yes, people get on.
C-Style DJ said that's true with most countries. They love other countries. The governments are usually where the problems arise.
Absolutely. There's almost never conflict between people. It's between media and governments. There's no reason why we shouldn't get on with everybody in the world. There's no reason whatsoever. It wasn't John Logie Baird, no, Stevie, although it's said that he was, I believe, considered the inventor of TV. It was a guy who was sort of responsible for the concept of television as it's produced now. I forget what his name was, but I remember reading at one time, I have to look it up, that when he died, he was saying to his son on his deathbed, he said, I've created this monster, and he called it the idiot box. I've created this monster. It's my biggest shame in life, and I'm so annoyed. He was annoyed with himself because he created the thing that people would just come home in the evening and just sort of sit in front of and be sort of force-fed television instead of getting out and gardening or walking the dog or talking to their neighbours or chatting with their kids. He already, and this is back in the 1960s or 70s, he'd already realised what a beast he'd created. And is the internet the same sort of thing? I guess it isn't, in so much as I think what his problem was that we were being drip fed opinions and how we should talk and how we should live our lives. So I think the beauty of the internet is we actually pick and choose. It's a bit like, if you go up into a tree and you want to pick all the fruits you like, or whether you're actually stood down the bottom of a tree in a sort of cardboard box being fed the fruit that you don't like, and you've got no choice. Is that a really stupid analogy? Yes, it is.
Tracy Lippman says watching TV like zombies.
Yes, it can be. I'm not a TV fan, to be honest. I haven't watched TV in decades.
Well, B Swin says, what's your favourite Australian produced
There's
TV show?
B Swin's in.
Yes, B Swin's in.
I've no idea.
Dr. Blake Mysteries, etc.
I saw Dr. Blake's Mysteries once. They're really kind of cool. B Swin, I don't watch television at all. Somebody said to me on the weekend, don't you watch them? Just turn it on for the news. No, never. I don't have... I'm not drawn to television. If I tell you I haven't watched television by choice, well, no, for decades. I haven't actually watched television, even glanced at television in over 3 weeks. Not even briefly. And the only reason I watched it 3 weeks ago is because I was in someone's house who was watching television. Otherwise, I'd never, ever turn TV on. I don't know any of the shows people talk about unless it drops into a subject that and that might sound ignorant, but I'm constantly learning about other things and learning about other people, other cultures, other food, and YouTube is a great way of keeping yourself entertained. And so is just getting out and talking with people, to be honest.
B Swin said, I asked before the Idiot Box conversation, so excellent timing on my part. So true.
B Swin. That was but let's be honest. You were talking about Dr. Blake Mysteries. So Dr. Blake Mysteries was set. See, my mind is full of all sorts of nonsense. I probably watched one episode of Dr. Blake's Mysteries. It was set up in Ballarat. I think it was set in Ballarat. I watched one episode. And I watched it in England, not in Australia. Somebody was saying to me, oh, this is great. And that's a lovely, lovely series. Is this the one that's set in the 1970s or 60s? A really nice series. Nice, relaxed, reminds me a little bit of All Creatures Great and Small. Got that similar sort of style to Heartbeat. If any of you know any of these programs, you'll know what I mean. It has that similar sort of feel. And TV did used to be quite easy. Actually, things like All Creatures Great and Small, Heartbeat, but even Heartbeat started to get political and trying to, unfortunately, Dr. Blake Mysteries are a little bit... I'm kind of proud of those as an Australian show. I think they're very well done, the one I've seen. Oh dear.
So you just you asked where they were from, and they're from Vienna in Austria.
Oh, Vienna. When were we in Vienna last? Were we there last year?
No,
we didn't go to Vienna. No, we didn't.
Go to Austria, did we?
Yeah, we were in Austria last year.
Oh yeah, we were.
See, Michelle doesn't even know where we are.
But we didn't go to Vienna.
We didn't go to Vienna last year because we crossed over the Austrian Alps, and normally I would cross over on the Vienna side. I've got friends down in Friuli in Udine, and we would cross over that way, and I always stop in Vienna because I think it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And this time we didn't. We crossed a different route, which was also beautiful. Austria is just to die for gorgeous. If you haven't been to Austria, it's to die for gorgeous. It's one of the most pretty countries in the world. The people are lovely. Change the record, Steve. Everybody's lovely. They are. Everyone is lovely. Apart from those awful little jackboot wearing blokes that we met at customs once.
Yeah, move on.
No, I'm talking about in Austria.
Oh yes.
That's a long time ago, Michelle.
Long time ago.
We drove up. Here's a story for you, and this is when I went to Vienna. Actually, I was driving up from northern Italy, and they just introduced the borderless Europe. So it's going back a few years now. There were no more borders, and I'm driving up through northern Italy, and Michelle and I, oh God, we're like sort of we're unusual, right? We don't like driving on motorways. We don't watch television, blah 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 blah. So we're driving up on all the little roads through these tiny little villages in northern Italy, these dusty little villages, and then we come across a village that was obviously a border crossing at one time, and it had been abandoned. It was just like there was tumbleweed rolling down the street, and houses that had just been left. And we sort of drove through, and there's the barriers up like this, and passport control like this, and we drove through. There's no one there, and then we drove up through a windy little road into Austria, and drove on to the motorway, wasn't it? And we needed the kids needed to stop with my children at the time, so the kids needed to stop and get some drinks and snacks. We pulled into a service station, and these two guys dressed immaculately, like sort of in the hobnail boots, and sort of like frog marched over to us and wanted to fine us because we hadn't got a pass to drive on the motorway. And I said I didn't know anything about the pass to drive on the motorway, and they said, oh, you can't sit when you come into the country. There's this massive board telling you you've got to. There's no excuse. You have to pay. And I said, no. I drove in through this town, and they looked at me sort of perplexed, and they said, well, nobody drives in through this town. Everyone comes through the motorway. I said, no, we've come up hills like this and this, that, and eventually they understood that I'd come into Austria through these tiny little back roads and crossed an old closed border crossing and come onto the motorway, and there were no signs up saying that you needed to have these visa. They weren't nice, these guys. They weren't particularly friendly, but eventually it took a long time. They broke their ice and let us go and buy our thing. But yeah.
Say goodbye to Sonia. She's got to go and do school runs.
Bye, Sonia. Love to the kids. Yeah, you may have gone already.
C-Style DJ said, how long do you think before Wi-Fi is free for everyone, and should it be?
Wi-Fi should be free for everybody. We've been talking about this for absolute decades now. There's all sorts of initiatives for free Wi-Fi in cities. In Adelaide, when I was in Adelaide recently, not recently because we haven't been in Australia for 2.5 years, but when I was in Adelaide, there's free Wi-Fi throughout the city. When I was in parts of Europe, there's free Wi-Fi in many of the cities there. Wi-Fi should be free. Internet should not cost much. You know, there was a time, some of us might remember, when water was free. Now that costs an arm and a leg. Or next to free. That is the way internet should be. It shouldn't cost you more than about $10 a month, and it should be as free to everybody as fresh air. And if I suspect it's going to go this way as well. But you see, if corporations need to find a way of getting money out of you, and actually, no, it's not corporations. I'm almost, because corporations are generally the problems. It's government trying to find a way of getting money out of us. Johan, your YouTube crashed.
Say bye to Tracy. She's got to go.
Bye, Tracy. Calon, Indonesia. How are you? Our neighbours in Indonesia. Now, Indonesia, another place we haven't been.
No.
No, we've got to go to Indonesia, haven't we?
We did talk about going there.
Yeah,
from Malaysia.
We were going to go from Malaysia, but we ended up having to, one reason or another, we came back to Australia. I thought it was that time we came back to Oz.
Possibly.
You know, things happen. We'll get there eventually. I believe Indonesia is a beautiful, well, everywhere's a beautiful place to visit, but I'm looking forward to going to Indonesia one day. And I'm actually trying to edit at the moment a video of batik, and I think batik originated in Indonesia, if I'm correct. Batik is the art painting that was done on my chef jacket when I was in Malaysia. But I think batik actually originates more from Malaysia, from Indonesia. Do you have onde-onde in Indonesia? Onde-onde, the little sweet coconut balls? I think you do as well. There's quite a lot of Indonesian food that crosses over into Malaysia where we just were, because there's a lot of, I think Indonesia's had a lot of impact in Southeast Asia in their foods.
So Homesteader Down Under Australia says hi to me and you.
Hey, is that Michelle? Homesteader Down Under in Australia. I got a feeling that's Michelle. She's changed her names a few times, and sorry, Michelle, we've been out of the country for quite a while, so I do lose track. But I got a feeling that's Michelle, my good friend up in Queensland.
So have we missed anything?
Just seeing what C-Style DJ says. I agree. Limiting access to important information. You can't. Nobody has the right to limit access. No government, no corporation, no business, no body at all has the right to limit information of any sort. I'm sorry, I probably could argue for months and days. There is information out there people would say is inappropriate, but that's up to us to decide what is inappropriate, and our parents who bring us up properly to yeah, let's not get there at the moment. I'll get my political hat on. Cheers, Michelle. I'm thinking it's Michelle from Homestead Down Under. Now I know you say hi, Steve. Michelle from Queensland. Oh, okay.
It's hi, Steve from Michelle from Queensland. I read it wrong.
Sorry, Michelle. I thought you were saying hi to my Michelle, but you are saying Michelle from Queensland. And yes, what's your original channel called, Michelle? It wasn't. Are you still doing the spices? So, any other questions there? Oh, that wine's starting to go to my head.
So earlier on, Aussie Zach said he follows Damie Lou, been following her since the early days. She's doing well on the share space.
She is, Aussie Zach. She's doing well on shared space. She's a lovely girl. Damie Lou and Luna came to my home here in Melbourne, and we cooked some stuff together, and the girls are just wonderful. Lots and lots of fun. They're good friends with Chopper as well, Cakes by Chopper. I think Chopper lives up in Sydney. Well, I know Chopper lives up in Sydney, to be honest, and that's another great. Somebody asked me about who are my favourite YouTubers. I basically all of the YouTubers. Still on glass today. Yeah, I'm getting there. I think these glasses are bigger than they look, and I'm not a big drinker, despite the fact that actually I'll enjoy a glass of wine. If I drink, let me just stay on track a moment. YouTubers are YouTubers that I like all YouTubers really, pretty much all of them. I think I shared out last week a good buddy of mine, Andrew, Angry Aussie, here in who's also doing a video every day in October. And then another great YouTuber, VB Ed, a good buddy of mine over in Perth, said he wasn't too keen on Andrew because of his political left-wing political views. And it's true, Ed is absolutely right, but Andrew's a lovely guy. He's a lovely guy, and I wouldn't have it any other way. His views, I don't agree with 80% of what Andrew believes in, and I take most of what he says with a pinch of salt. And he may be disappointed to know this, though I don't suspect he'll be watching because he's busy doing a video every day in October himself. But he's just a lovely guy. It doesn't matter about his political beliefs.
So let's just say goodbye to C-Style DJ. Thanks for responding to my questions, comments. Watching from Port St. Lucie, Florida. Been up all night. Saw you on and wanted to check it out for the first time. Good night.
Oh, C-Style DJ, good night. And thank you. Get to bed. Get some sleep. Man, you have been up all night. If you're in Florida, yes, Florida. Where in Florida?
Port St. Lucie? No.
Port St. Lucie or Lucie, Florida. I'm just trying to think where that is because I've been around a lot of Florida and I don't remember Port St. Lucie. Florida's a beautiful place. Everywhere's a beautiful place. Get and travel, see the world. Find a way, if you can, to travel and see the world. Obviously, you've got to find some way of getting income and working in this expensive world we live in now. I don't want to get on my political box again. Stevie boy, yes, you would get tipsy on a low alcohol stubby. But you're 55 kgs, man. That's light. Man, I wish I was 55 kgs, buddy. Lucky you. B-Swin, student meals are lovely. Now, student meals, two guys, so, you know, we have this terminology in Australia to call everybody guys, even if they're girls. Two people. She is from Belgium. He is actually from Russia, though he lives in Belgium. And they put a lot. If any of you actually run your own YouTube channels, you will know how much work goes into it, and they put a lot of work into it, and they are lovely. Callan says you have onde. Onde is lovely. Did you get and check out my video on making onde in Malaysia, in the Rasa Siam, Shangri-La Rasa Siam, with one of the chefs there? For the chap's name, do you remember? Anyway, I'll get Michelle to find the video. She'll pop it in there. Stevie boy, you're 5'5" and 55 kilos. Man, you're in good shape. I won't say how many kilos I am, but I'm overweight at the moment. I think you should never trust a chef who's too skinny. So Stevie, I hope you're not a chef, because if you are, you're not tasting enough of your own food. But it is important actually to try and stay in shape. And I'm not super overweight, but I carry too much weight because I do eat too much rich food. And I know exactly how to correct it, by the way. It's not a big issue. It's just whether or not I want to at the moment is another thing. Cheers. So how are we doing on viewers, Michelle? We got many in at the moment, or is it dropping off? Same weight now, just turned 50, as I did when I was a teen. Stevie, shut up. Stop that. I wish, man, if I was still the same weight I was when I was a teen. I was slim as a teen. Slim as till I was 30, 40, 35, 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you hit 40, it's a couple of weeks ago now. What?
Nothing.
Don't laugh.
It's all right.
A couple of weeks ago, the weight starts to go on. You people over 40 know what I'm on about. The weight starts to go on because you can eat that much cheese, and I don't eat badly, actually, to be honest. People often say, you know, what do you do with all the food? You'd be surprised how little of the food we cook we do eat, because if it's something that's unhealthy, I generally tend to give it to other people. Because I love all these sweet dishes, but I can't eat a lot of it. Not like I used to when I was younger. But you know, it catches up with you in time. So you're very lucky, Stevie boy. You obviously have a fast metabolism. But actually, it doesn't matter whether you have a fast metabolism. You obviously eat reasonably well, to be honest. Because you can have a fast metabolism. If you eat too much processed rubbish, or you're pretty active as well. Would I be right, Stevie? You're either fairly active, your work keeps you fairly active, or you've got a reasonably decent diet. Or are you starting to put weight on now you're 50? Famo59, hi, how are you? Just chatting about nothing tonight. We're only on here because I'm exhausted. We've had a tiring month. We have we put a video up every day in October so far. So what date is it today? It is the 26th. So we put up 26 videos, and pretty much all of those videos have been done this month, and not necessarily filmed this month, but edited this month. So we've been super busy, but I wanted to do it to challenge myself. Video every day in October, and I'm so looking forward to November. Just a few more days. Yeah, Steve boy, you don't eat a lot of junk food. I also don't eat a lot of junk food, but I do have to eat a lot of food. That's not fair, is it? Traveling does it for you, Stevie. Take yourself when you go to America, if you like your food, you're going to put on weight. Famo59, when am I coming to South Australia? Soon coming to South Australia. I want to try and get there early part of the year. So, and I want to, particularly, when would you reckon? Maybe sort of February time, maybe? Yeah. I love South Australia. I'd live there if it wasn't for the fact I love everywhere else as well. It's so hard. You can't live everywhere. I do try to. We have lived in so many places over the years. Princess Roxana, what kind of foods do you like? Yeah, she's Jamaican. She likes Italian food, and I tried other cultures and they were good. Well, you're Jamaican, right? So you are used to food with a lot of flavor. Jamaican food packs a lot of flavor. It's quite rich. So you are going to find Italian food. Why not? I mean, Italian food is very similar. It packs a lot of flavor. It's very rich. Most of the great foods from around the world have similar sort of things. If we were, sorry, Stevie, but if every country just served up a big lettuce salad, then we would probably get fairly bored. It's those richer foods. It's why American food has become so popular worldwide, because of the junk aspect of American food, the burgers, the fries, the American pizzas, not Italian pizzas, which are quite different. So yes, it's not that odd that you like Italian food, to be honest. I've got a few friends from Jamaica, and they all have really good palates. So I suspect you probably try most food. You probably quite like your Indian food. You'd probably find you quite like your Australian food as well. I think you do well over here. We like a lot of our good seafood, and we like a lot of good rice dishes. Always good. We don't have a lot of the yams and sweet potatoes that they have in Jamaica, but which is a shame, because they're such good eating. Princess Roxana, what is your favorite Jamaican food? Go on.
Oh, so just saying Scott Rear's in.
No, Scott's in.
Yeah, he says, "Hey Steve, will you cook any games sometime in the future?"
Oh, Scott, how are you, buddy? Scott's got a fantastic channel. I love Scott. Now we were talking butchers earlier on, Scott. We were talking about butchers. I've got a bit of butchering in me myself, only so much as not professionally, but we've kept a lot of our own animals in the past. Game. I would try to, Scott. Where I am, there's not a lot of game. Oh, check out Scott Ray's the Scott Ray Project on YouTube, by the way. fantastic channel. Guy is absolutely right up my alley. I love what he does. Scott Game Kangaroo, maybe. I mean, we may be looking at some. We are going to be looking at some foraging here in Australia, so I'm going to be looking at some foraging foods, and I would like to look at some more local foods. We don't have a lot of game foods in Australia. Whenever I get back into Europe, I love the game. Scott's got some great videos on prepping game and things. It's outstanding. Scott, the reason I do love your channel is because you do a lot of the things that we do ourselves at home, and we used to do when we had our little farm in France. I used to keep rare breed pigs, Scott. So saddlebacks, Tamworths, and so I don't know. We should do something together one day, mate. When I come over there, or if you want to come over to Australia, we'll do something together. Maybe we'll look into some game here in Australia. Now, Scott, a friend of mine, has got a channel here on YouTube, and it's called what's the channel? What's his channel? The American lad that was put a video up today.
Oh, Dear Meat for Dinner.
Dear Meat for Dinner, Scott. Do you check out Dear Meat for Dinner? Sadly, he put a video up today saying that his videos have been demonetized because he does the style of video he does, and that annoys me, man. YouTube can't do that. They can't tell people just because he hunts and gathers, and he's very ethical and he's got a passion for what he does, man. Yeah, I got to talk. I want to talk to my YouTube people. If you've got YouTube people, Scott, out there, we got to talk to them. We got to knock some sense into these guys. They cannot dictate to us what we can do just because a handful of stupid corporations think it's not appropriate to advertise on their channels. Dear Meat for Dinner, Scott Ray, none of these channels can be taken away from us because they do things that that might turn the odd vegan's stomach. Angel Home Chef, hiya, how are you? Margie, thank you. Lovely to have you on.
Johan says bye, he's got to go.
Oh, Johan. Goodbye. I am so bad, Scott. I'm wanting to go and say no. No, I'm not even going to say it. Be good.
These twins want to know any scheduled live chats in the near future, want to set alerts.
Thursdays at the moment. And the idea is to try and put up a live chat on Thursdays when I can, internet permitting, because we're still traveling. So we'll try and do a bit of a chat. And this one today is nothing more than just an off-the-cuff natter, because I wanted to make sure I put up a video every day in October. I've got something on the editing desk at the moment. I'm pointing over there. My laptop's here. So yeah, I'm trying to. I've got a video for tomorrow. I've got a video for the next day, and I've got a video right the way up to the end of the month. And then I'm going to have a bit of a relaxed glass of wine, and I'm going to sit for at least a week and do nothing. So yeah, Dear Meat for Dinner, Scott is having a bit of a bad time. He'll be fine. It'll all sort itself out. The YouTube come to their senses. You know, they do this all the time. You know, they did with this advertising nonsense. Look, guys, we have to, guys and girls. Channels like myself, Scott's, the Shooligans, Dear Meat for Dinner. We put a lot of work into what we do, and you really do have to understand this is a lifestyle for us. I mean, we're not out there cap in hand begging for money, but you've got to try and make a living. You know, this darn corporate world that we live in costs a lot. You know, just every time I pop to the shops to get something for the next recipe, it's another $100. and it costs money to live, so we try to make a bit of a living through YouTube, and it does occasionally, we do get hit by it. I'm of the opinion it usually corrects itself, and I don't stress too much about it. I think I said to Scott once before about this, we don't stress about it. It'll sort itself out. But sometimes, you can have a lot of difficulties trying to keep this sort of stuff going. Yes, you do have to get off, Aussie Zach. And thank you for coming on. You've been here for a long time. I'm going to run this a little bit longer because why not? I'm enjoying myself.
Famo59 says, we'll make pizza and have wine and sharpen your knives. We'll make the best pan-fried pizza you've ever eaten with semolina flour, and there's a spare bed if you like.
Where's that?
South Australia.
Oh, nice. That sounded like I was back in Sicily for a moment, Famo. Oh man, semolina pizza. When we were in Sicily this year, last year, this year. God, we travelled so much. When we were in Sicily, the pizza there was so good. Hats off to the arancino, the Sicilian. We are going to actually be sharing. We've been to Mexico, the USA. We've been to Sicily. We've been to different parts of Southeast Asia. We've still got to share a lot of what I've learnt, and I've spent there all this time taking notes, learning about all the different food styles, getting in there to the kitchens and learning from different chefs. And I want to share that back to you at some point. We will. Onelia Rivera, hi, how are you? So
you asked Princess Roxana what her favourite food was. She said curry goat. I love curry goat.
Curry goat.
Love curry, and jerk is second.
Curry goat, Jamaican curry goat. Oh, to die for. If you've got the right spices and herbs and everything in there right, I don't know how you make yours, but Jamaican food is spot on. I say this about food from all over the world, and Scott knows just how good Old English cooking is. The English food. We talked about food from around the world, Scott. English food, man. More power to you. Some of the best food in the world, and yet try and find a butcher that even knows what suet is, Scott. It's frustrating. So we were talking earlier on about butchers, and I was saying when I was a lot younger, I used to live in the UK for some time, and I didn't live there all my life, but I lived there for a time, and I had a butcher friend of mine who was really very talented for a butcher. He was, and the guy could do anything with meat, a bit like yourself, Scott, and but go to a butcher's today and ask for a bit of suet, and they look at you like, what's that? They're kind of looking up on the shelves for a box. Suet, by the way, is the fat membrane that covers the outside of the is it the kidneys and crikey, I've cut up enough carcasses, the kidneys and the liver. So it's a beautiful fat for going into many of the British puddings that we make. I mean, without suet, you wouldn't have really great Christmas puddings and great sort of faggots and the like. Man, I'm salivating, and all I've got here is a little bit of cheese and some dip. Food, Scott, we could talk about it over and over. Tara, you here? Thank you. Did I ever watch Two Fat Ladies? I did, and sadly, one of them died about 6 or 8 years ago. It might be even longer now. Those girls, they were heaps of fun. I loved the bluntness of the two of them. Particularly the bigger girl that died. They reminded me of some of my old friends. They're not really old friends. They're friends of my mother's. They remind me of people I know. I know people like the Two Fat Ladies very, very well, and I love those characters. They're a dying breed.
So Famo has got to go, says you're welcome to stay. You and I for accommodation, lives in Mount Barker, South Australia. He's got to go now.
Thank you, Famo. We probably tend to do our own accommodation and things as we travel, but I would love to see you if we're over there. You'll see I'll be announcing on the channel. But thank you very much for the offer. Cheers. And it's Tony.
It is Tony. B Swing says Scott posted some great old documentary videos about butchers from days past.
I know how Scott gets away with that, but they are fantastic videos, by the way, Scott, if you're still listening. Yeah, he does. He chucks up some stuff, some old videos, and they should never be lost, those videos. So I'm so glad that you put them up. Oh, they both passed. They both passed. Oh well, rest their souls. I mean, two lovely ladies. Scott, you may know you may know ladies like that yourself, and just the characters. They're lovely people, lovely people, and they've got and just to sit with people like that and chat, and then no nonsense sort of attitude that they have is fantastic, and salt of the earth. So yeah, I'm sad to hear the second. I forget the ladies' names. It's a long time since I've watched them, so please apologise. And Scott, I don't know how you managed to put those old shows up on your channel, but I don't really care. I'm glad you do. They're great. Check out Scott's channel, by the way. And shall you pop a link into Scott's channel on the chat? If you haven't already checked him out, the Scott Reed Project. He is great character on YouTube. Love him to death. Clarissa. That's Clarissa, yes. Scott, your mum is one. I suspect my mum is one as well, actually, Scott. Oh dear. That is so funny. Oh, those characters are gone. Clarissa and Jennifer. Those people, I don't know if the world exists where they will, maybe they will, because I think actually as you get older you get more cantankerous and more your character evolves anyway. So perhaps that sort of people, you'll meet these people that are like, whatever today, and they go, whatever, and when they're sort of like 60 they'll just be like Clarissa, I suspect. So that's Scott's channel, by the way. Michelle's just popped it in there. Get across and subscribe to Scott. I'm not sure if there's too many people new at the moment, Scott, but later on, hopefully people will come across, and you should. Fantastic channel. Nice, good result, Scott. And why not? And why not? They're fascinating stories, particularly when you see the old fellas fishing and things, and they're done in a style. I think some of them were still the old TV format. I love those shows. Now that I don't watch television, Scott, I was talking earlier before probably you came in. I don't watch television. I haven't watched television in decades, and I certainly haven't turned on a television in 3 weeks. And the last time I saw TV was in someone else's house that they just turned it on. But those shows, they're salt of the earth. There's another channel, and I'll give him a shout out. I forget his name. Scott, you may remember the lad. He's got a gardening channel. And he puts up a lot of the old Victorian English garden shows, and he introduced me actually to the Victorian English garden, which was a really good series. And his name escapes me. I will apologise. My dusty head is not remembering, but apologise. I will look it up afterwards and put the link in my comments down below. Do you know the chap I'm talking about?
No. I'm not in your head.
He's a friend of Rick Van Man. So Ah, Margie, good. Get across and sub Scott. That's good.
Just did.
Good,
She also
good.
said, Steve, please make a tunis cake. It's a very old Christmas cake first introduced by McVitie's.
Tunis cake. Now, I do love old recipes. I collect old cookbooks. So I'm always fascinating. Fascinating. I'm always fascinating. I am always fascinating, actually. But I'm also almost... The wine is kicking in now, Michelle.
I did notice.
Did you?
I did.
Am I slurring?
No.
I forgot where I was. I've got these beautiful old... I love these old cookbooks, so I will check out Tunis cake. Can you just look at that, Michelle? Do we know the Tunis cake? Sounds like Tunisian. I'm not sure if it's one I should know.
Madeira cake topped with a thick layer of chocolate and decorated with marzipan fruits.
Read it to me again.
A tunis cake is a Madeira cake, so it's a sponge topped with a thick layer of chocolate and decorated with marzipan fruits.
Okay.
Traditionally eaten at Christmas.
Well, Scott's mum and my mum will love marzipan fruits. Probably I'm wrong, Scott, but my mother loves marzipan fruits, and I always make my own homemade marzipan. I love making little marzipan fruits. You get the little marzipans and shape them in bananas and peaches and pears and all sorts. They are delicious. Somebody just asked me to say hello to them. Where did I see that? Kikl, K-I-C-L, Furries. How are you? Oh, thank you. I'm the best cook. Shout out, please. You're welcome. I saw a recipe that used ammonia. Ammonia. Which recipe was that, Stevie boy? I mean, a lot of the old recipes, and even still today, we cook with lye. A lot of things. If you're making good bagels, you're going to use lye. You're going to use a lot of sourdough breads, which use lye. And I was just saying before about if we're going to make masa flour, which we are going to do on the channel, the Mexican masa flour, you use the wood ash from your fire. So you burn your fire the night before, and then you take the ash out of the fireplace, you boil it up in water and add your corn kernels in. Now the ash from your wood fire has intense lye in it, and lye is alkaline, I think, isn't it? So it burns. It's the opposite of acid, so it burns. It'll burn your skin. But it takes it breaks down a little bit like bicarbonate soda. You can do it with, in a lesser degree, you can do it with bicarb. It breaks down the surfaces of hard husks and things, and allows, particularly in the many years back when corn was brought from South America into America. People were just grinding the corn and eating it, and they were getting no nutritional value, and they were getting not rickets, but they were getting quite ill from just eating corn. And what they didn't realize, that the old American Indians and the South American Indians were cooking this up in lye or wood ash. It was having a chemical reaction, but it was also breaking down the husk and allowing the good nutrients to come out of the corn, which made it more nutritious. Yeah, and you could digest, you could actually absorb some of the amino acids that were in the corn. People that were just eating this corn were just grinding it up and eating it. They were getting quite sick. So it's fascinating. Where was I going with that? I was going because, was it Stevie that's saying about cooking with something? Ammonia?
Yeah.
Okay, what have you seen?
It was for rising. It was in a 50s cookbook. It was for rising.
Yeah. I mean, all sorts of things. I mean, at one time we used to put lead into things, but I'm trying to think why ammonia would be.
Reply to Scott while you're thinking.
Scott, are you off?
Yes.
Take care, buddy. You have a good day. I will check out your latest video and say hi. Be good. Love to your mum. Ammonia in rising. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think why ammonia would be. I mean, there is an actual French sausage called andouillette, which is, I don't know if Scott's left, but andouillette, Scott, and it tastes like it has ammonia, and it actually tastes like a public urinal. Quite an acquired taste, very unusual. And the acids, the ammonic acid, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they would use it, and I'm not sure what effect that would have. It would be in a very unusual flavour. Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Anyway, so we've been going a little while. I'm happy to go a little while longer. I'm sure many of you won't watch all of this. If you've started watching this from the beginning and you've come in later on, let me know, because good on you. Stevie's been here since well early, and now who's been here since the beginning? I'm trying to think. Tara was pretty early on.
Tara was pretty early, yeah.
Famo came in a bit later.
Stevie Boy was pretty early.
Stevie Boy was pretty early. Shout out to all of you. Tara certainly was. It's funny actually, Tara. I've got on the left side. There must be a lag, because on the left side here I've got my OBS screen, and I can see you. You said me, and on the actual feed, it came up about 5 seconds later. Beast Twins, you were in. If you came in when you said hello, you were probably about 20 minutes in. Yes, for sure. Now, ammonia bicarbonate, Stephen, is a different, slightly different, because that is a powder. You've got to be careful with some of ammonia bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate. What's the one that we use for mesa? Sodium chloride, sodium chlorate. I've got to be careful. I don't want to give you the wrong and poison one of you. But yes, ammonium bicarbonate is similar to bicarbonate of soda. It's a very similar thing, and it'd be used in. It's a white powder, and that I can imagine.
That's why it's for rising.
That I can imagine. It's not like ammonia, like the liquid solution that you get that stinks like cat's pee and is quite acrid. Ammonium bicarbonate is I think when it reacts with water, you might have to check that out. But it is a leavening agent. You're correct. But it's not quite the same as ammonia, which when you talk to me about ammonia, I'm thinking of the liquid ammonia, which actually has but ammonium bicarbonate is a white powder, which when you add water to it, so they would have used that. They could have used that in a soda bread, for example, Irish soda bread. He's been in and out of it. I'm not surprised. So there is a little delay. If I want to actually see the exact comments, I could look up on my little screen here. So it's been fun tonight, actually. It's been fun having a little chat with you all. I'm going to try and do maybe more structured, or maybe I'll just do, if you enjoy these just sort of rambling chats, I'm quite happy to do these on a Thursday, just to sort of touch base with everyone and say hello. I'm actually quite full. I'm full of snacks and nonsense. Yeah, well, rock ammonia would be ammonium bicarbonate, which would be a crystallized version of ammonium bicarbonate powder. I'm not talking from a point of knowledge here, to be honest, Stevie Boy. I'm not 100% sure of ammonium bicarbonate, but I'm by its name, I would say it's similar to sodium bicarbonate, which is a leavening agent.
Angie's in.
Angie, I'm very good. How are you? Beautiful. Cheers, Angie. This is one of those evenings I've just decided to do. Apparently the internet's not so great, so it might be a bit laggy. This isn't really a planned show, just to say hello to everyone. So how are you? It's beautiful to have Angie in. Cheers. I've gone through a fair old bit of wine, Angie, so sorry if I end up slurring my words. Have we eaten this evening? Not properly, just snacks. And Michelle says, you have. I've got all the snacks over here. What have you had?
Water.
Oh, woe is you.
I know.
Angie, you just finished training. Oh man, I wish I was as dedicated as you are, Angie. We took the dog for a big walk today. Charlie, we took him out.
He stood by the car when we first went out.
Oh yeah, he doesn't always like these big walks, but when he's out there, he enjoys it. We get out. There's some beautiful tea tree plants near where we are. We go out for a walk across the near the beaches here. We're out at the moment out Mornington way, and it is gorgeous actually. It's really pretty. I expect to see at dusk time. I expect to see some kangaroos, but there weren't any there this evening. So I did take my camera, but we didn't see it. I think you're closer to the city, Angie, aren't you? So you wouldn't see too many kangaroos, or you might do where you are. I'm not sure. But out here at Mornington, we do see. Well, not really at Mornington. I'm much further out than that. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Angie. Excuse me. Oh, best wishes and love to Mum. And Michelle's just here, so she'll say, do you want to come and say hello to Angie? Come round. Michelle hasn't been round. Oh, you're in Bayswater. I know Bayswater well. Come and say hello to Angie.
Hello, Angie. Hello, everybody.
I used to live in Glen Waverley, near Glen Waverley. So Bayswater's not a long way from where we are. We'll be back in the city, but we're traveling a lot around Australia this year, so we're going to actually be touring. I want to take you as well, Angie, because maybe there'll be places you haven't been to. I want to take people around Australia and show them some of the beautiful places that we have here. Excuse me, I've got a bit of chip stuck in my throat. I'll have to have a glass of wine to wash it down.
B. Swin says enjoys the rambling chats. Wish it weren't so early on the east coast of the States. Would have some wine too.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. I would not partake in a glass of wine if it wasn't for the fact that it's pretty late.
Dave's in.
Dave?
Saul and Dave.
I know.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just going, Dave. Oh, I love Dave. Is Shirley there?
Yeah.
Oh, Shirley. Shirley and Dave from Michigan, my favourite couple in the world, have come in. Cheers. Chin chin, you two. Must be early where you are, Dave. Love to Shirley. Michelle says hi. I hope you did. You just see Michelle, Shirley? Now, Dave has got a channel as well. Dave has been doing YouTube longer than I. He's a real veteran, and he's a fantastic ukulele and guitar player. And I'll get Michelle to put a link to Dave's channel so you can get across and say hi. He's also does some really fun stuff where he goes out walking around Michigan. Michigan's got to be one of my favourite places in the world. It's so pretty. Tara likes your hairstyle.
It's because it's down.
It's down. She doesn't often have it down, Tara. So it is beautiful. It's so nice. And actually, we were lucky enough to go and visit some of our favourite people in the US last year. Not all of them. There were loads that we didn't get to see. But we were really blessed to be able to see Dave and Shirley. So where was I?
Somebody else said you lost weight.
I haven't lost weight. Don't say. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I haven't lost weight. I do need to lose some weight, and we are starting. That's why I've started this Smoothie Tuesday series again, because we want to get back into sort of a more healthy eating regime at least 50% of the time. Angie knows that, Fit Ange there knows. It takes dedication to keep fit. When I was younger, I did used to keep a lot fitter than I am now, but it takes dedication. But one of the things I can do is start to at least take 50% of my food and diet intake. I know it should be a lot more than that, Angie, but at least I can take 50% of it and make it healthier, because I generally do eat quite healthy and I should be actually skinny as a rake. But I enjoy my food as well, and we cook a lot of stuff, and we eat a lot of really great food. So that's Dave's channel. Check him out. Say hello. Subscribe to Dave as well on Sorlo, and he puts up loads of great little videos. Sometimes Dave will go out walking around the lakes, Lake Michigan, and he put up lizards and snakes and the things he finds on his walks, which is heaps of fun. I think I must have a fisheye lens on if people think I'm losing weight. This lens obviously suits me. I possibly have lost a little bit of weight. I must admit, I can fluctuate sort of 4 or 5 kilos, which is 8 or 10 pounds. Literally, if I go through a stage of, like when we're in Sicilia, and I'm eating pastas and pizzas and going to the olive groves and picking olives and eating that, and they're throwing food at me left, right and centre, I am not going to lose weight in those sort of scenarios. I have to do some serious effort to try and stop myself overeating, particularly when there's a lot of bread around. Bread is my enemy. Bread and crackers. And because I do love good bread. It is worth it. Yeah, it is worth it, Angie. When I was not doing what I'm doing now, which is this YouTube channel and sharing with you, I did used to take health fairly seriously, and I still do. I mean, we do.
We have a problem. We don't like to waste food.
We don't like to. Michelle saying we don't like to waste food. That's an excuse for we eat everything that's on the plate. And when we're in Italy, the people there are so generous, and they laden your plate with more and more food, and you don't want to say no, and Mama won't let you say no, so she puts a little bit extra on your plate, and that food is not to diet to.
Angie says she hasn't even travelled around Australia, so it would be good.
Well, Angie, we're back here. I used to live up in Queensland. It's beautiful up in Queensland. I mean, actually, many parts of Australia are very beautiful, but there are still so many parts of Australia I haven't been to. And I want to take the audience around this year. We're going to go around Australia. We've got lots planned this year. I think it's going to be quite an interesting year to be a subscriber to the channel. Yeah, or whatever, we're not hugely demanding on people. If they watch, they watch. If they don't, they don't. It's all good. But I am definitely going to be taking you around Australia, Angie, and we're going to see some fun things. And I'm going to go somewhere where I've never been. I'm going to go to lots of places I've never been, but I've never got over Perth side, Angie. Now, if any of you know Australia, if this is Australia, and we're here in Melbourne and Perth is over here, it's like 5 days journey to get across to Perth if you go by bicycle, but it's a big flight, so people don't often get across. It's like crossing. It's further than the US. I think it's further from.
It's about 36 hours to drive.
36 hours drive.
Yeah.
So it's a long drive. So people don't often.
There's not a lot in between.
There's some beautiful things in between, and we're going to find out, because actually we're going to drive it, Angie. We're going to drive the whole length of the country, the width of the country, and we are going to share as much of it as possible. I'm going to try and vlog it, Jonathan. I'm going to try and vlog it, but no, I am going to try and vlog it. There's no but. I'm actually thinking of investing a ridiculous amount of money in a mobile internet connection so I can vlog it.
Do some live shows.
And when I say a ridiculous amount of money, I'm talking about Telstra. Because Telstra is possibly the best coverage we get in Australia, but they're big packages, they cost a fortune. So it's going to be fun, Angie. We're going to go to places, we're going to go and see, we've already seen the penguins at St Kilda Beach, which is fun. I put a vlog up of the penguins at St Kilda Beach. So we've got, people don't often realise we've got penguins. My kids were skiing up in the snowy mountains recently. The skiing in Australia is great. The snow is probably, the season's coming to the end now. They don't realise that Tasmania, another place we're going to be going probably towards the end of our tour, just how beautiful. It is expensive, Fidange. It is expensive, Telstra. And I need something pretty powerful to get me around, so it's going to end up being about $130 a month just for a mobile internet pack. Pretty expensive. So you can see why I was saying to earlier on, running these channels, it can be quite expensive, but it's what we choose to do. So I will be going to Ayers Rock. Uluru. I will. Now, most people around the world still know Ayers Rock as Ayers Rock, and it's, you know, Angie and I, we go back long enough that we know Ayers Rock, but it's now Uluru, and I will be going there, and I will be going to Alice Springs, and I will be going to Darwin, and I want to go to the Kakadu National Park, which is gorgeous. It's drop dead gorgeous. There are parts of Australia that are just second to none, and parts of Australia which are just almost unspoilt. So we're going to take you there, but we're going to try as much as possible to focus on the food and the cultures. Even here in Melbourne, in Australia, the food culture is phenomenal. If you go from one suburb to the next, you'll find sort of Greek, Italian, Lebanese, African, English, Scottish, Irish dishes, American dishes. The food here is just brilliant. Yeah. When you say Ayers Rock, Angie, I suspect 90% of the world knows what you mean, as do with respect to a lot of my friends in India. When we talk about Bombay, a lot of people still understand Bombay, and it is, of course, Mumbai. I'm used to Mumbai now, but you know, you grow up for a lot of years with different names, you get used to them. And I do understand why. Stay away from King's Cross in Sydney. I've been to King's Cross in Sydney a few times, Angie. It's rough, isn't it? I used to have a family that lived not far from there, so I do like Sydney. By the way, for those of you who don't know, King's Cross is the sort of crazy red light district come sort of bar area in the middle of Sydney, and it's notorious for being a bit rough. I think actually, Angie, it might be becoming a little bit more subdued. Actually, I don't know. I haven't been there for a long time. I like Sydney though. It's a good city. Not as good as Melbourne, of course. Not as culturally good, not as food good, but it's okay. It's a close second. And of course, the capital, Canberra, we'll be going to Canberra. For those of you who don't know, Canberra is the capital of Australia. For those of you that are Australian and don't know, it is the capital of Australia. So Angie's pretty out there. Where I missed.
King's Cross. It says she's heard it's pretty out there, but maybe it's changed.
Angie, I read that wrong. I read that it's pretty. out there. And I'm thinking it's pretty. Yeah, no, it is pretty out there. I don't know if you've. It's what does King's Cross remind me of? I don't know. It's one of those sort of. Could I say down market sort of bar areas that are a little bit rough, but actually got real gritty sort of feel to them, and it's kind of fun. A lot of good people, a lot of really interesting people. Where are we going to start our travelling? Well, we kind of started it, Angie, out here at Mornington. We are out towards St Andrews Beach, Rye, Rosebud. We've sort of, yeah, too much wine. Too much wine. Mind you, you did right. It's pretty out there, which, in my respect, yeah, forgive me. So I think we're planning to really start in earnest in the new year. I think we'll probably get Christmas out the way. We might try and start the series a little bit earlier than that, but it starts now, and we'll get Rosebud is beautiful. Yes, it's lovely. It's got some wonderful coastline up here. Actually, the whole coastline from the city up until Rosebud is pretty. We might try and start to film. We're already starting to film some stuff.
We'll probably start more after the new year when we'll have to get Christmas out of the way. Not get Christmas out of the way, but...
Barney Boo says we're going to Geelong this Christmas. Good for you, Barney. Geelong, is it where the kids go? Quite often my kids like going across to Geelong, but that's not Christmas time, is it?
So, no, they come down to Phillip Island.
Oh, it's Phillip Island, yeah.
Over where
I know where Geelong is. I thought that there was a Geelong event. So you're going to Geelong. Well, Barney, you have a good time in Geelong. Beautiful part of the world. 8:07 a.m. and Dave and Shirley are having buttermilk pancakes.
Yes,
gorgeous.
Please.
Yes. Buttermilk. Oh, what time of year is it? Are blueberries in season again? They probably are, aren't they? Oh, the blueberries are to die for in the US when they come into season. You can get buckets of blueberries. Here in Australia, we get punnets of blueberries that are about the size of my wallet. See, not a lot of money in this wallet. They're about the size of this wallet, and they're about that thick. And you take the lid off, and they've just got one layer of blueberries in. You can count them. You can count them without opening the box, and they'll be about $6. When I went to America, for about $5, you can get like a bucket of blueberries. You can barely lift off the shelf, and you're dragging the thing to the car, trying to get it in. And they're spilling all over the place, painting the car park blue. Not really, but you do get a lot of blueberries for your dollar in the US. Whereas, it was shocking to see a reasonably decent sized punnet of blueberries for under $10 when they're in season, because we never get anything like that in Australia. The blueberries always come. Anyone who's here in Australia knows we get these tiny little punnets. Have we got a punnet in at the moment? We often have a punnet in. They're like gold dust. You have to lock them up in the you have to put them in the fridge with the lock in at the back there, because you don't sort of
Bee Swings is having sausage and eggs in North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Tennessee.
Nothing can be finer than to be in Carolina. So,
is that proper sausage?
Now, when you say sausage and eggs, Bee Swing, are you talking American sausage, the round thing, or what proper sausage? Because when I see sausage and eggs, we're talking about bangers and eggs and bacon and things like that. But I think you're talking about American sausage, which basically is a burger. Now, I don't know where it lost it. Talk about Lost in Translation. Good movie, by the way. When sausage in America became like when you go, you only really see it in McDonald's here. If you have like a sausage and egg McMuffin, and they actually we always just accept that it's a sausage and egg McMuffin, that it's got a burger in it. But it's only when I went to America I realised they actually called sausage what we would call a burger, because sausage in Australia can only be snags, which are, which in America are called Italian sausage, which have got nothing to do with Italy whatsoever.
On the banger style.
Banger style.
Good.
Beautiful. Good on you, B Swin. Good on you.
So Fit Angie's having some chicken, beans and brown rice.
And I hope you're having a glass of wine with that, Fit Ange. No, it's not. When is your cheat day, Angie? Is it Friday or Saturday?
He just said Lake's entrance is gorgeous also.
Lake entrance. Who said that? Angie. Lake entrance is gorgeous. I met some really great characters around Lake entrance when we've been up there. My sister goes just a little further than that. She often goes on holiday to a little place. What's that place? Merimbula, which is just a little further up from Lake entrance. Actually, if you drive, anyone who comes to Australia wants to drive between Melbourne and Sydney, stop going. Sorry, I know we talked about. Is it Steve from Albury?
Yes, Steve's gone. I think he's gone now.
All right, Steve's gone, so I can say it. I don't drive up the Hume.
Wasn't it? Aussie Zach was from Albury.
Oh, it's from Aussie Zach.
He's gone too.
Zach. Don't drive up the Hume. Drive up the coast. Go through the lakes. Go through Lakes Entrance. Go up through Tilba. Go up through Merimbula. That coastline between Melbourne and Sydney is gorgeous. If you have time. Right? If you've got to do a rush, go up the Hume. But if you are Saturday nights, I thought it was either Friday or Saturday, Angie. Lake entrance is beautiful. You see the pelicans. You see great fishing, beautiful coastline. Drive from Melbourne, drive to Sydney, go up the coastal road. Don't go up the Hume. Okay, if you've never been up the Hume, do it. But now the road misses all the major towns. There's nothing to see. You've got to get off the town to see all the beautiful parts. I don't even think you see Dog on the Tucker Box. I think Dog on the Tucker Box.
You have to go off.
Which is what's the town? There's the Dog on the Tucker Box, which is on the drive. Excuse me for forgetting the name of the town.
And you've got the submarine town.
Michelle, stop showing your ignorance. Submarine town. Oh, I used to know these towns.
And the Merino Sheep Bakery.
Google the names before you start saying nonsense. Merimbula is pretty. KICL Furries. Oh, thank you. Well, this month you could watch a video every day. I have done one every single day. I'm surprised anybody watches them. They are good though. I mean, when I look back at them, I enjoy them. What's my stand on GM foods? Barney Boo, I'm very against GM foods, and I'm understanding of the fact that many foods, there are different levels of GM foods. I think we've got to be very careful introducing GM crops into Australia. I think we've already introduced way too many. I think we should stay away from GM crops until we fully understand the consequences. Now, there is genetically modified crops, and there are foods. When you crossbreed certain varieties of plants until you find a plant that gives you, I mean, the tomatoes we have today in the supermarkets are all GM. Whether or not they've been made with test tubes and things, they've all been crossbred. When I was a young lad, 2 or 3 years ago now, I went to a place like I stumbled across a place which was a laboratory for testing tomatoes, and this place, I forget the name of this place, but it was, I was doing some work, and I went. These guys showed me around this place, and they had a greenhouse as long as a an aircraft hangar, and along it they had all different types of varieties of tomatoes. And as you walk down through this greenhouse, and it took you sort of 20 minutes or so to walk down, the tomatoes were in different states of some of them were just like liquid mush with mold on them. Some of them were perfectly red, just beautifully red, with no mold at all. And the guy was the scientist there was explaining to me that all these tomatoes have been placed on these trays at the same time, and they were seeing how different varieties of tomatoes decayed quicker than other varieties of tomatoes. And then they would cross-pollinate the different tomatoes to try and come up with a tomato that would last longer. So the supermarkets, possibly the worst thing that's ever happened to us, and the best thing in some respects, could end up with tomatoes that would last longer on the shelf. Now, one of the detrimental sides of this is that we now end up with tomatoes that will last forever and ever and ever. They never go off. They taste like nothing. They have no flavour whatsoever. Because what they were explaining to me this time, this is back quite a few years ago, to be honest. They were explaining that the more sugars, the natural sugars that were in tomatoes, the quicker they would rot. So really, really old heirloom tomatoes that had lots of flavour literally wouldn't last maybe 4 or 5 days maximum before they would just completely turn to mush. But they tasted delicious. Now, the saddest thing today in my mind is that kids don't really fully understand the flavour of tomatoes. I went into our supermarkets here, and I did it also in Europe, and bought vine fresh tomatoes that taste like nothing. You might as well be licking the outside of this glass. There is no flavour to them at all. And these are the expensive tomatoes, so don't kid yourself. You go into a supermarket today and buy the vine ripened tomatoes, you've got anything that tastes like a decent tomato. You have not. They've made these tomatoes now in these laboratories that I visited as a young man, when I was probably only in my early 20s. They perfected tomatoes. You know, when you buy a carton of milk now, it stays in the fridge for 4 weeks, never goes off. They perfected these tomatoes by using genomes, mixing the different bloodlines of these tomatoes to create a tomato that now won't go off and has no flavour. So that is technically not, that's cross-pollination. That's not necessarily genetically modified, but it's similar. You know, it's the same thing. We've been doing this for years. I mean, if you go back to evolution, when you talk about Darwin's theory of evolution, he was actually looking at the way in which pigeon breeders were crossbreeding pigeons and to come up with the better types of pigeons that would for homing pigeons. And he was also looking at the way different species of plants were being evolved to make better. This goes back centuries. So GM, no, it's invariably, it isn't a good thing. I mean, you look at the you look at the wheat crops that we have today, the modern wheat crops. They've designed wheat that grows barely, a foot high. When I was a kid, the wheat used to grow up to your shoulders. Maybe I was smaller when I was a kid, but it used to be you run through the wheat, much to the annoyance of the farmer, knocking the wheat down, and you could make crop circles in the wheat. You can't make crop circles in the wheat. It's only about a foot high now. They've made this wheat, this modern wheat, so it grows heavy, short stems, heavy, and we have very high gluten wheats now, which is giving all these problems with gluten intolerance. These are not the old varieties of wheat. So I'm against GM foods in the most, but I fully understand. I don't agree when people say, oh, we've got to genetically modify crops so that you can feed poor nations. I 100% disagree with that. There's been a problem over the years that people, because of government stopping people from naturally migrating across borders, that where a particularly in parts of Africa where people could move across the borders and can return when the crops came back, we end up with all sorts of issues. There's a natural equilibrium in life if you allow it to be so. So we don't need to actually keep growing more crops so that more corporations can get richer. Because what's happened because of that is we've got disgusting tomatoes, we've got strawberries that have no flavour whatsoever. You have peaches that you could use to wash a plate with. There's no flavour in them. You off, Angie? Take care. Love to you. Sorry, I'm banging on about GM food.
Gundagai.
Gundagai. Dog on a tucker box. So even if you drive up the Hume between Melbourne and Sydney now, you don't tend to pass those beautiful spots like Gundagai where you can pop in. There's the submarine. Holbrook. Lovely places, but you don't see them. So drive up the coast, and either everyone's left because I'm talking about GM food, or they're all fascinating and hang on every word that I'm saying. How about you guys? What is your opinion on Australia? Who's from Australia? Nolif, what can you do to have hands as thick as yours? You have skinny hands. Well, are you a girl? Because men's hands tend to be thicker, and it's genetic. Ladies' hands, Michelle's hands are more slender. So if you want hands as thick as mine and as strong as mine, you probably need to be a guy. If you're not a guy, if you're a guy and you've got thin hands, then that's cool. That's also good. See you later, buddy. Cheers, Stevie. And thanks for joining me. I am going to actually hang up soon. This is way too long, but I'm quite enjoying it. Now, if you have skinny hands, by the way, No Life 3, good for you. I mean, make use of them. It doesn't matter whether your hands are thick or thin. Oh, so you're a guy. All right. Well, if you're a guy and you've got thin hands, brilliant. Yeah, make use of it. Do some macrame, do some knitting. I play guitar, right? I get into a lot of trouble sometimes. My nails get too long, but I play guitar. I've always got my guitar's just here now. Never ever without a guitar near me. So I keep my nails a little bit long on one hand, a little shorter on the other, because when you're fretting chords, you have to. And I always used to think you couldn't play guitar if you had thicker hands. When I was younger, I would have thought it was difficult, but actually you can. So I would say to you, if you've got slimmer hands, play guitar. You'll probably find it easier than I do. But actually, if you've got thicker set hands, there's some fantastic guitar players that have thicker set hands. You're probably never going to be, if your hands are very thin, you're probably not going to have very strong hands. I've always found that my hands, when I was younger, I could grip things a lot tighter than others. Learn piano, Taurus. That's good. Yeah, piano. I mean, the thing is though, if your hands are thicker, technically you shouldn't be able to play musical instruments, but you can. There are so many exceptions to that rule. What else could you do? You could put the little blueberries. You know, when I made this blueberry smoothie this week, and I tried to get the blueberries inside the glass because my hands are quite thick, I find it really hard. And Michelle gets them, and she just, it's like tweezers. She pops them in, drops them in there, and they look beautiful. With me, clumsy, great big hands that I've got, I struggle. And I think who was it was saying it was Milan, wasn't it? Said to me, yeah. One of our regular subscribers said, "Oh, how do you get those in?" And I said, "Well, I get Michelle to do it because she's got beautiful, beautiful slim hands. But if she wants to get the lid off a jar, yeah, it's going to be me every time." Or if you've got to, squeeze the juice out of a lemon, these hands.
Or need that bread.
Or need bread. Endlessly need bread, or you're going to have to, these hands. The
Corn
ones.
bones. Leaving question marks now because you're not answering. Where are you right now?
Corn bones. Where am I right now? I am in Australia, in Victoria, in Melbourne. Not actually in Melbourne. I'm out towards Mornington, which is just a beautiful part of the world. And the weather is coming into the spring. It is gorgeous. Where are you, Cornbone? Where are you right now? Can you hear the snoring? Listen. Oh, he stopped. The dog. Charlie's snoring. He's away. He's running through the cornflowers and there's because when we took him for a walk today, the grass gets really long and he bounces through the grass and all the little cornflowers and things are hitting him in the face. Yeah, that's where he is right now. He's snoring like a good one. Oh, you're in Australia, Cornbone. Oh, well, I'm in Australia.
No, he's in Switzerland. He's saying you're in Australia.
Oh, you're in Switzerland. I'm in Australia. Yes. Switzerland, we've got people in from Austria, your neighbours, beautiful parts of the world. How is it in Switzerland when you drive up into the mountains and you look down at those beautiful tiled roofs? I mean, those slate tiles on the roofs of those houses in Switzerland are just so gorgeous. You couldn't picture something as beautiful as the rooftops of a Swiss house. Oh, morning, Charlie. You woken up? I think Charlie's woken himself up with the snoring. Hi from Houston, Texas. Geeky Graham.
Sam Boyd.
Sam's in, isn't he?
Yeah, greetings from UK. Are you eating your guacamole puke?
Sam, I'm not. I've eaten my guacamole puke.
Still got your pumpkin.
Got my pumpkin there. Look at this fella.
He's going in the oven.
Somebody's. I've cleaned out the guacamole. What do you reckon, Charlie? The dog doesn't like. Oh man, we're gonna have to be careful. We're gonna have to cook this up because one thing with a pumpkin is once you've actually sort of carved them and opened them up, they will start to rot. So it's often you see when people, if you're going to put your pumpkin out on the side and you want it to last several days, you're not going to eat it at all. Just get a little light solution of regular household bleach and water, nothing too strong, and just soak the pumpkin. It'll stop it from rotting. It'll last for a lot more days, and you can actually put a little bit of Vaseline just around the mouth. Little tips here, by the way, from parents who have done a lot of Halloween stuff. And it'll last for ages and ages and ages. But once you've done that, you're not really going to cook with it. Michelle and I actually are going to cook with this fella. This is Dave, by the way. I always laugh because Dave and Shirley, who are watching, maybe still watching from Michigan, I've always called my pumpkins Dave, after my good buddy Dave in Michigan.
So No Life 3 says, will you ever show us how to cook kangaroo?
I suspect we will show you how to cook kangaroo at some point. Nothing wrong. I mean, I've had kangaroo many, many times over the years, so I suspect we will. Where did we say that No Life was? Did you say where you were from, No Life 3? No Life's got the slim hands, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I think they said.
I will show you how to cook kangaroo. Stay tuned, maybe this year, because of we'll be doing a lot of Australian stuff. And kangaroo is damn good meat, by the way.
Good cat.
Yeah, you've got to be careful with kangaroo, because we do see a lot of kangaroos sold in the supermarkets. Again, I'm going to bitch on about supermarkets a little bit, I'm sorry, but a lot of kangaroo that's sold is often not very good quality kangaroo, so it doesn't taste like good quality kangaroo should. And kangaroo is very low in cholesterol. It's extremely lean, very good meat. But sometimes they sell rubbish in the supermarkets. It doesn't taste that good. And I'll be covering that with you. No life, you're in the USA. I'll be covering that with you at some point. We will not be covering cooking koala bears, though. Kangaroo tail soup. I'm not sure there is such a thing. I'm not sure there is such a thing, but Geeky Graham, if there is, I stand corrected. Now, oxtail soup, absolutely, and the reason we use oxtail soup is because the oxtail is a pretty tough cut of meat, but it releases a lot of flavour, and if you cook it and stew it over time, oxtail is delicious and makes great oxtail soup. Kangaroo tail, by contrast, is really good meat, so I'm not sure it would make good soup, but who knows? Steaks, it makes good steaks. Now, they often used to, when you, okay, sad alert, when you drive in the outback, you'll often see kangaroos. More often than not, you're going to see them dead by the roadside, because they are often hit by vehicles because they're attracted to the roads. And they do say that you're not ideal. A lot of people won't eat roadkill. Sorry, I don't want to get too politically incorrect, but the tail of the kangaroo is one area where you can actually eat, and it's got a lot of meat on it. It's pretty good. So they quite often do cook up the kangaroo tail, because it's not near the intestinal tracts. It's not near the inside of the stomach or anything like that, so it doesn't tend to spoil very quickly. Does that make sense? Is the pouch ever used for anything? It's used for joeys. It's the little joey climbs into the pouch. And what are you laughing at? You're thinking of the other pouch.
No.
No, I'm not sure. And to be honest, no life, I'm not 100% sure. I would suspect there is very little. Oliver wants me to do more fried chicken videos. Thank you, Oliver. I will. I don't get the opportunity to do fried chicken that often.
Nonya fried chicken. That was nice.
Oh yeah, Nonya fried chicken. I've probably done three, maybe three fried chicken videos on the channel over the years. So yeah, I'll certainly look into it if you have anything of interest. But you know, with the channel, how we tend to work is to do series. So I like to try and do something that's in a sort of style of vein. So if we're doing Italian food, I like to stick with it. But I don't want to just do Italian food, so I often will do 2 consecutive series so that you get some variety. So I won't just do fried chicken unless it becomes part of a series, or unless I get excited about a particular dish. So thank you, I will do. I will try. Check out Nonya fried chicken on my channel, by the way. That is really, really good. I've made it 2 or 3 times this year. Yeah. So I think we probably ought to be rolling on, actually.
Been on 3 hours.
No.
You have.
No, we've been on 3 hours. Is anyone watching?
Yeah.
Who's watching?
I don't know. Oliver's watching.
Well, it's been a great evening, guys. And when I turned this on and was thinking of doing this, I thought I would do it for an hour. The sky behind me was blue. The weather has been gorgeous today. Michelle and I are exhausted, absolutely exhausted, because we've been filming so much this month. We're going to take it a little bit easier next month. So questions are still coming in. So don't be surprised if at the beginning of November I slow up a little bit. Probably not that much, to be honest. At least two videos a week, maybe even more.
Maybe 3 because you've got the smoothie cheesecake too.
Okay, so we are never going to slow up. Ever, ever, ever. You'll always be able to see 2 or 3 videos every week on Steve's Kitchen, as you have done pretty much for the last 3 or 4 years. Would I go on the Gordon Ramsay show if I was invited to? I'm not sure which show you're talking about. Probably not, to be honest. I love Gordon Ramsay. I think he's a great character. I don't know what he's like as a chef, because he's mainly a TV celebrity, but I suspect he is a very good chef. But I'm not into these TV shows. I don't even know what he's doing at the moment. I don't watch TV very much. So, Peace Winds, yes, we're going to get going. Even the most discerning of you are probably... Any of them? Any of them what?
I think any of the shows.
I watch nothing on TV. I've not watched TV in... not by choice in 20 years or so. Gordon Ramsay is famous. Yeah, he is famous. I mean, even somebody like myself that doesn't watch TV knows Gordon Ramsay and the likes. But I've not watched much of his stuff, to be honest. He seems to be much more involved in sort of like those reality type shows and things. And I reckon he's a lovely guy, by the way. I think he and I would get on like a house on fire. But no, I don't think I'd be too interested. I'm not that interested in Master Chef and all those sort of shows. Life's too short. There's too much going on to waste with that sort of nonsense. Anyway, check out Damie Lou Chevelle. Michelle will put the link again in the chat. Get across and share some love. Damie is a fantastic singer. She is my favourite Aussie YouTuber. One of my favourites. I've got lots of favourite Aussie YouTubers, but she is the one I'm plugging at the moment because she's such a star. Share her videos. Hashtag Team Purple, and check her out. She's on a show at the moment, one of those shows that I don't particularly like, but Damie's in it, so I'd watch it anyway. The moment Damie's off, I wouldn't watch that sort of nonsense, but I really, really hope and pray that Damie will become the winner of this, because she is such a talent and such a lovely girl. Get and check her out. Michelle's going to put the link in the comments here. And
Team Purple Everything.
Team Purple Everything. If you do your Spotify, this, that and the other, download some of our stuff. Say hi from Steve. Don't even have to say hi from Steve. She is just an absolute star. Love you all. Take care. And I am going to get on.
Find the off button.
Yeah, I'm going to go and search for the off button. I found these earlier on today, so that was handy. I don't know where I would have been without those. I'm going to pop those back in the other room. Those air quotes, man.
So useful today.
If anyone wants some air quotes, by the way, I think if you've got a back room in your house, just pop out there. You'll find them in the back room. Be good. Love you all, and see you next Thursday for a live show, internet permitting. Take care.